Power on.
Real-time Sovryn is go.
Ooh, the Golden Stallion, the man of tomorrow, Savzu, the rated R radio star, here with you, and I don't even know what camera to point at anymore because they're everywhere, for fuck's sake. And of course, I am not alone, because if you look to the, well, is this going to be people's like bottom left? Your left. There is, of course, the inimitable, the stunning, the wild, Mrs. Ellen Sovryn. Woo.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, welcome back. Boy, I want to make this more of a regular thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And
I hope your listeners do too.
Oh, I think they do. I think some of them really do after they saw that latest photo shoot of yours, which woo, we'll talk about that a little bit later.
I've finally become a model, Mom. Look at me.
Well, I mean, look, all right, I'm just going to say this very fast, and we got other things to grok first. But, like, I think gals on OnlyFans, and I'm sure some guys and Z's, they got to be making way more than even, like, Tyra Banks used to make. You know what I mean?
That's great. I mean, good for them. Tyra Banks is a psycho.
Yeah. Oh, wow, shots fired.
Look,
right here.
I used to watch America's Top Model, okay? I know what it takes to be a model in the business, according to Tyra Banks.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to, like, withstand some pretty brutal shit in order to become famous.
Yeah.
But that show, like, misled a bunch of women into thinking they were going to become the next Victoria's Secret model.
Was that America's Top Model? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they would go through the whole season, win, and everything, and no career. It just felt like a television show where Tyra Banks could set people into super uncomfortable situations, like having a giant pendulum swung at them while they're walking across a very narrow dock on the water.
That's just so weird.
Yeah.
It's
like,
so weird.
Why would you make a photo shoot out of that?
Yeah. No.
It's psychotic when you think about it.
It is.
Thank you. But yes, make money on OnlyFans. I feel like that's a great thing for people to do. I mean,
hell yes.
It's an easy in, I think, for people who would otherwise not have a platform. So, like, you and I have looked at some of the content that's on OnlyFans, and there's a lot of variety.
Oh, that's and again, we're going to get into this more later, but like that's the thing, there's because it is like one of the platforms where you can pretty much do whatever you want. And I say pretty much. It's a lot more than just sex shit, like
exactly.
Like there's all it's a genuine YouTube competitor. In fact, it may be the only real one. Where people actually like make real money. Because Twitch is a whole other animal and all these other things. Anyway, so I'm with you there. It's not completely uncensored though, because I know I've written some posts for our content that where I use the word forced, and it did not let me make that post. So there are things like if you're implying non-consent, if you're like you're implying like rape or things like this, not that that's what I was doing. But it won't let you do that. So there's still limits. Okay. But, and I don't think people realize that, but there are.
But it's about consent.
Right.
Not necessarily about saying or doing something offensive.
Yeah, there are limits I can ultimately appreciate. I'm never for censorship, but I can appreciate, the fine line that they still have to walk, to some degree. And I can certainly appreciate, like, that's not exactly stuff I want to watch. So anyway.
I certainly appreciate that they're looking out for people's best interest in the sense that they want to make sure they're not encouraging non-consensual behavior for profit.
Right. I mean, because OnlyFans could turn into Videodrome pretty fast, which I don't think we've watched that movie yet, but
not yet.
We'll get there on some.
I get the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Somehow I feel like I know what this is about.
Yeah, it's it's something else. Made by the same guy who made The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
Oh God.
Yeah. So, Cronenberg,
Whoa,
I mean,
okay.
as well as Scanners. So you're in for a time. Anyway, please, what were you going to ask?
Sorry, you just made me think of a movie that we watched somewhat recently, I suppose. about a person who was filming people in the apartment building that he shared with them.
Oh, Sliver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sliver.
Yeah. Oh, I love that movie. That movie's wild.
What do you mean you love that movie?
All right. Whoa.
Okay.
Hold on. Okay.
What the heck is going on here?
Hold on. All right.
Why
Wait,
do you
didn't love it?
Why did you love it?
Okay. So first off, it has one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. This is a huge deal. Like in a very real way, it introduced the world to Enigma, which
that's
the
great.
Group, yes,
I mean, I
right?
love Enigma.
Exactly. But this is, let's be clear here. This is based off of an Ira Levin novel.
Whoa.
Okay. So
all
fellow
right,
tribesmen.
All right.
And because you introduced me, very much to Ira Levin, in my opinion, his best work, that being This Perfect Day.
Which is dystopian, which
Yes.
also fits in with this because there's a lot of surveillance in that book as well.
Yep. Yeah, so is This Perfect Day, is that on the shelf behind you here in the new studio? No? It might be somewhere.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
So I love having these books here. I have not organized them yet,
Yeah.
and it's something I'm dying to do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, now that they're like on camera, I mean, and especially, boy, again, that photo shoot where you were in front of those things, the things you were doing with those books, that was...
Yeah, you should have seen me reading that Devin Townsend book.
Yeah, Miri.xxx. Wait. Miri.xxxtech.net. I know that Devin Townsend book. Yeah, that's a rare one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost got my name in that one.
Yeah. That was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I know you went through the process.
I did the thing where you like pre-order the book in time and they'll put your name in the front cover as a sponsor, but it just didn't end up there. And I'm a little disappointed, but I'm not mad. I can't be mad. Like, I know that's not Devin's fault. Devin, I forgive your team. I still love you.
Devin, this is your biggest fan here, and
hell yes.
And like, what is it, man? Anyway.
Anyway, tell us about XXX Tech.
You read my mind.
You mentioned XXX Tech podcast, XXXtech.com. What is this?
Yeah,
.net.
Yeah, exactly. So, and in fact, if you're watching the video on YouTube or Spotify, you're actually seeing. So, okay, first off, and Ellen, you know this better than anybody. I mean, the transformation, especially tech-wise, that has happened inside of this studio.
This is not even the same studio that you were working with at all.
No, yeah, this is...
It's like maybe 10% the same.
Yeah, exactly.
But over the last 3 months, you've done a complete overhaul. And
yes.
if there's been any lack of content in any way, it's totally been because of your remodeling and replacing all this equipment.
Right, exactly. And also, like, honestly, learning new software,
that takes a lot of time.
It does, and it's part of what's making this possible. And I mean, I have all kinds of shit already like planned out to go to do. It's really and like it's pretty close to its final form. Like, if you're seeing kind of the wider shot, it's zoomed in a little bit, but if you're seeing the wider shot here, I mean, I can do, and if people followed me on Instagram, they'd know I can do 3.
We could have a third guest.
Exactly. I could technically have a 4th microphone in here. I don't know that that's ever necessarily going to happen. But again, my voice, I've mentioned this, in fact, in the screen to the top right, you can very clearly see the SM7B Plus. This is like the high-end Shure microphone, and it is so great to be using this again. So yeah, there's a lot going on, a million screens everywhere. In fact, if you see us like looking in a similar direction, we're actually seeing ourselves on on an ultra wide that we will have here to be able to, where it says XXX Tech, which I'm going to explain what that is in a minute, where it says that, like, I can put this ultra wide across the whole top of the screen, and we can all look at things together. We can watch video reactions together, we can watch movies together, which would be really kick-ass, and all of that can just be like fed right into the video stream. So, and this can be done live too.
That's really exciting.
Yeah, this is super cool. I mean, look, I know there's a million people that already do this on YouTube or whatever, and video is very much new territory for me and a new frontier.
Right.
But it's here, and it's being done very, very right.
Yeah, there's so many possibilities with this new setup.
Yep, totally.
But keep giving us the tour.
Yeah. So, so you're seeing a lot of there's a lightsaber behind me, if you're wondering what that reddish glow is. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about this mixer?
Oh yeah. So, yep, this is a Zoom H6 Essential, which is their latest model. Now, I used the Zoom H6 forever, my old H6, and it still kind of works, but it's gotten long in the tooth, and I basically got to the point where I was just using a straight USB mic. This is their latest model that has 32-bit float technology. It's kind of the big deal about it in that it levels the sound automatically as it's going in like live. So, that's super high end. I love it. That, it, it doesn't look like much, but it doesn't have to do, because so much is being done at the software level on it, of the hardware, that you don't need a bunch of knobs. You don't need twist shit. You don't need
That's great. That's amazing, honestly.
Yeah. Like normally you have to have a guest come in and you've got, let's check your levels. Let's, do we need to add some bass to you? Do we need to do this or whatever?
You have a full board usually with like knobs and sliders.
Yeah. And I mean, is there still a place for that kind of mixer? Sure, of course there is. Okay.
But it's not here.
But no, yeah. And there's no need. It's get people sitting down, they respect their time and just get them sitting down, hit record, boom, and go. So XXX Tech, so all of this new shit really just lends itself honestly to a full rebrand. I mean, we kind of toyed with this with just like dropping the tech and just calling it Sovryn, which that's kind of still going to be like a main feed that exists. I won't go into I don't have to get into too much in the weeds on this, but XXX Tech, it's really just Sovryn tech, just somewhat expanded in scope, but it's also more explicit. And I don't just necessarily, because I don't know how my show could have gotten more fucking explicit and erotic than it already was. Okay. There's full on orgies happening in the middle of commercial breaks.
Yeah, maybe in the book that you wrote, The Sovryn Universe.
Well, no, or should I say when it comes back from a commercial break, suddenly there's like 5 women moaning, whatever.
You haven't done that in a couple years, though.
It's been a little while.
Yeah.
But
it'll come back.
It'll come back.
Right? You've got plans.
Oh, yes. But that's the thing is I want people to know very clearly what they're getting. And, I never want to drop the Sovryn name. Like it's, when you see it like in a podcast feed, it'll say XXX Tech by Sovryn, because that there's still so many thousands, literally tens of thousands of people that know me by that.
Yes.
I don't want to lose that in the search, but also I get lost in the search because I know people who send me mail and they still write out Sovryn, like the word, like SOVREIGN or whatever. And so, that creates a little bit of a problem because if you come looking for me under Sovryn Tech, because you just hear it, you're not going to find me. And I think just having that simple XXX Tech, and I can't believe nobody else fucking had that.
Right.
Nobody else uses that. What the hell? And it was your idea. Genius. One night you just said it.
It was a stroke of genius. It was a eureka moment.
It was. In the middle, we were just laying down. We might have just got done fucking, and you just said, it's like, yeah, what about XXX Tech?
I was feeling so inspired.
Yeah. And I was like, no way. And I go and look it up. Nobody's using that. Unreal. I mean, and the proof of that is, that I could have gotten a .org or .net domain, which, your top 3 domains are, .com, .net, and .org. I could have gotten .org if I wanted, but I went with .net. And I mean, .com was taken, but everything .com is taken unless it's a funny spelling, and it was for thousands, but it doesn't go anywhere. Nobody's really using it.
Right. They're just buying it as an investment, basically.
Right. But that just blows my mind that XXX Tech, XXXTECH.net was fucking available for the standard price. And,
wow. And
so I'm like, I'll take that, so, and I'm running with it. And, already made the logo. This is stuff. I mean, and we talked, this has been in the works for months, like
Right.
this wasn't something you just told me.
No, we really have been preparing for
Right.
this whole unveiling
Right.
of XXX Tech for many months.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, if people have watched recent videos, they've already seen it like on some of the other screens, like they've
Right.
seen the logo. And I did that on purpose. It's like, yeah, like make people wonder, what the fuck is that?
And this is the first time you're really talking about it.
Yeah, this is the first time I've been open about it.
So what do you want people to know about XXX Tech?
Yeah, so again, I mean, it is, in many ways, it is Sovryn Tech. There's going to be some different stuff to it. And it's not going to be solely about, like electronics, right? It's not going to be solely about consumer technology, enterprise technology, things like this. It's going to go much broader. We're going to get into the spirituality, health, lots of sex. I mean, it's in the name, for fuck's sake,
Yeah.
And it's going to be a crossroads of a lot of these things. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about this, but I'll save that for like the quote unquote first episode, even though I'm just going to pick up the numbering from Sovryn Tech because it's really just the continuation of that show. Tech has just gotten so boring, and
Right.
it's just gone in a direction that we don't really have control over. Like you're not really I mean, and that's not nothing new. That isn't necessarily anything new for me to say. I've always told people since the beginning of Sovryn Tech, I've always told them, I said, look, if you're a target, you're screwed. There is nothing you can do. Like you are done. If the NSA wants you, they're going to get you, like it's just flat out. I've never, ever suggested otherwise. In fact, in my original edition of the Dark Android book, I say that right in the introduction. Like, look, if you're targeted, you're done.
Yeah.
And that was 2017.
This reminds me of Ross Ulbricht, and
Who just got freed.
He was captured. He was a very careful,
Yes.
intelligent person. He was caught.
Yep.
But yes, thankfully he was just freed, and I'm so happy for him, and I'm really glad that happened. I mean, screw Trump, but
Yep.
I'm very happy that he's free again, and I think his story just goes to prove your point of, it's very, very difficult to avoid being captured if you make it high enough on that target list.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very rare that anybody would end up there. So for what most normal people would need, the things that you recommend often, are sufficient.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not like just throw your hands up. That's not
Right.
That's not what I've ever said. And that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, like, when I talk security, it's more about protecting yourself, like, from other malicious actors. But like if a nation state, or even a corporation is after you, like you're fucking done.
Yeah.
And,
and I know you've talked about this in your Dark Android book, and you're working on the next edition. Don't you have different levels by which you rate the people who are trying to find you?
Yeah. I have different threat levels, and these actually get listed out in the new edition of the book. There's four different levels, and basically, like, level 3 is like nation state. Level 2 is like that hacker or that hacker group that hangs out at the local cafe or something like that.
Like, we are anonymous.
Yeah. Yeah, things like this. So level 4 is like, aliens with quantum computers and shit. And anyway, there's different levels. But I'll be, I've broken those down before on the show, like years ago. But they need to be reiterated. But like basically, you can do something about level 1 and level 2 as far as security and privacy. But like when you get into level 3 and level 4, forget it. And I mean, I could make some pretty wild statements right now that I think that I definitely want to explore a bit more, in the show. I mean, for example, let's just put it this way. Like, with all the perfect math that exists for encryption and security and all of that, there's still ways to even break that perfect math with just by the nature that the machine you're using is a physical machine. And the universe being what it is and what we know of it through physics itself, you have what could be where literally cosmic rays can cause a bit flip, you know? So literally, like, your encryption could break via magic in a very, I mean, but, you know, cosmic rays are real. They're not magic per se.
Oh yeah, cosmic rays cause that same thing to happen in DNA.
Yeah, right.
So why couldn't it also happen in a computer?
Exactly. So, you know, this idea of perfect security, like, one of the things I really, really have to, you know, spend some time on is to understand that, like, no, like, that just does not exist, never will, you know? And so you do have to treat things based upon, you know, your own threshold, threat levels, all of that. So that's a bit of that's a slightly different or more focused tack, I think, that I'll be taking with XXX Tech. But again, it's bringing in the mysticism, spirituality, sexuality, health, all of that, science here and there, which is where I hope you definitely come in and, you know, help out quite a bit.
I'll try to help if I can.
Yeah. And definitely, you know, still talk a lot of entertainment. So it's the stuff people have always loved me to talk about. Lots of history, you know.
Honestly, that's why I started listening to Sovryn Tech so many years ago, because it was like a variety show.
Yeah.
But everything was exciting. Mm-hmm. Like, it didn't even matter if I didn't know shit about tech at the time. Like, I just wanted to hear you talk about it because you were so passionate. Yeah.
And thank you. Thank you so much. And it's 1,000% the best thing I've ever done. Why? Because I got to marry you. So
that's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. So what's the greatest thing you ever did? No, there it is.
What drew me to you?
Yeah. So, you know, and I did that without guests. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that was just all me. No notes, no, you know.
I was a guest.
Well, yes, you were. I mean, I would have guests, you know, on a rare occasion, and you were, you know, my favorite, of course.
Oh, of course.
You were, still are.
Thank you.
But, yeah, you know, but that's something else that's going to change up too, is I do want to have more guests on. That's part of why the studio has been set up.
I'm so excited for that. Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah. It's going to be...
It's going to be fun. We're going to have so much fun.
Yeah, totally. You know, speaking of entertainment, I want to get this out of the way. And then, folks, we are going to talk about LSD. I didn't want to say that too close to the opening, because then YouTube's like, what the fuck are they doing? You know. Anyway, no, I don't know that YouTube necessarily has a problem with that, because they allow for Maps videos, but Maps is the CIA anyway, so maybe
you can say the word LSD. They're not going to ban you.
Yeah. No, you're right. So anyway, entertainment. So the most recent episode that I put out, I talked about Planet of the Apes, the franchise, which you and I, Ellen, we recently did a full, like, all of it, the whole thing.
The movies.
Yeah, all the movies. We didn't watch the cartoon or the TV series, though. Certainly that'll come. TV series is a definite watch. Cartoon series is more on the optional side.
Yeah, it sounded like the animated series of Star Trek, which in my mind, like, there's a handful of episodes that are gems, but overall, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yes, that's blasphemy, but we'll keep going. So, look, you can say that about Planet. You can't. Anything William Shatner does, and Leonard Nimoy for that matter.
You know, like I said, there's a handful of gems, but there are also some that I'm like, what were they thinking?
You know what I want? I need to put these games on your computer. I want you to play. We're going to talk about the Planet of the Apes things in a minute. I want you to play. There's two Star Trek games. You're going to love them. I guarantee it. It's Star Trek 25th Anniversary and Star Trek Judgment Rights. These are point-and-click adventures. Okay. But when the CD versions came out in the 90s, they ended up getting the entire cast and everybody. DeForest, Kelly, James Doohan, they were all still alive.
Oh my God, the CD version in the 90s.
Yeah.
Hell yes.
Yeah, right. I know.
That's my level.
I know. You're already getting wet. And it did it. Show them. No, wait, no. Sorry, the camera's got to. I'll work on the camera angle.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm snail trailing right now.
Nice. Yes. Yes, you do. So
tell me more about Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah. I'm going to change my underwear after this. Are you kidding? Sexiest man in history. Okay, so anyway, these games they're point and click, but like you're basically playing episodes. That's what it feels like, but they're like new episodes.
Okay.
And they're super well written. Like the stories
that's
are
great.
awesome, and they all interconnect. And
Is there any skill involved?
not a whole ton. You just the there's in point and click games, classic point and click games. There's a lot of puzzles, and
Puzzles. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interactive.
Yeah, sometimes the answer is not so apparent, but these are classics for a very good reason.
Oh,
I mean,
I've
they do a
played
good job.
Skyrim. Believe me.
Oh, yeah, right.
Some of those puzzles are not very apparent.
Yeah.
But they're still fun.
Yes.
I still love, puzzles of any kind.
Yeah. No, I mean, the only two things that might be a challenge, like there's points where you do get into starship battles.
Mm-hmm.
And you only have like the radar screen between Chekhov and Sulu, and you have what's on the view screen to figure it out where the enemy is and all that. And there's like a Romulan bird of prey that cloaks and decloaks, and that's tough. Like that, there is some skill there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, this is a proper game where you use the entire keyboard basically for
All right. Well, that's a little anxiety-inducing to me because I've never fully memorized the locations of every key on the keyboard.
That it's all right because there's really only like 4 keys, and you figure it out.
Okay. Well, if it's the home row, I can do that.
Right.
I mean, the hotkeys for Age of Empires, I'm pretty good with those.
Yeah. So you'll get it, but I want you to play these, and I want to hear that review. Hell,
okay.
We might even set things up so that you could live stream your hot ass playing these games. And
so everybody can watch me playing this for the first time ever.
Get it in the comments, folks. Trust me, they want to see that. They want to see it. Okay?
I mean, oh my gosh, talking about watching people play video games. We went to a concert recently for Master Boot Record. The opening act, his name is Family Jewels.
Family Jewels.
He had a woman come up on stage.
Yes.
And he said, I'll give you $100 if you can...
Just pulled her out of the audience. It was just a regular audience member.
Yeah. If she can beat Brock in the first gym on Pokemon... Was it Pokemon Red? Yeah, in 15 minutes. Yep. And he played his guitar along with the entire video game.
He was playing the music for each moment, and I mean, he was doing it live, and it was very good.
But she beat Brock in a record time. It was 14 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And the next closest was 20 seconds over that.
Right, in Toronto.
Yes.
And they were Toronto on this tour of Master Boot Record and Family Jewels. Only he did that in every town. Toronto was the only town that at that point that had actually, successfully done it.
Right.
Beat it in 15 minutes. And and then here was, in Cambridge, at the Middle East. That's a venue where we also saw Beast in Black. But
this lady.
Yeah, she was
so fucking good.
She was finding all the secret potions and shit. It was amazing.
I don't know. Is she practicing speedrunning this game before the show? Because honestly,
she was super confident that she's like, no, I know this game.
Wow.
And it's one of those games that people played so much in that formative time. You can know it.
Yeah,
that well.
you can know it that well.
I mean, I didn't play Red. I played Blue, but man, that was impressive. Yeah, you and Rob, we went to that. Boy, what a hell of a show.
That was so amazing.
Yeah.
And I got some merchandise I'm very excited to share with people.
Oh, yeah. You got your first tape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. So you got me a cassette player recently.
Yep, got you a Walkman, basically.
Yeah, it's more than just a cassette player, though. You can record audio onto cassettes, and you can, make MP3s out of old cassettes that you have.
Mm-hmm. And you can go the other direction.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And you can play cassettes out loud. It has a built-in speaker.
Yep.
Which sounds just like you would expect from a cassette player that is made out of plastic. It's just
it sounds terrible, but it's so good.
It's a nostalgic sound.
Yes.
To me, I grew up playing these little plastic, video game, consoles, handheld things. And the sound that comes out of that sort of equipment is just, it's very unique.
Mm-hmm,
and it brings back memories. And that's the whole reason I got it. And I know it's silly and frivolous, but, this is the one and only time I've really, indulged grossly in nostalgia, and I'm enjoying it. And there was actually a cassette for sale at the Master Boot Record concert, and I bought it, and it's fucking amazing, and it sounds just like something you would want to play on a cassette player.
Yep. No, I mean, it's a tech that's really coming back, just like vinyl. And I mean, I'm not saying that as like a passe thing. Like, I think it's something that, yes, people are like wanting again, for sure.
And I don't even know why, because like, is the quality that much better, or is it really just the nostalgia thing? And it's handheld, so it's much easier to invest in than vinyls.
I think there's a rich softness to the sound of cassettes that I really, really like. And I mean, that's without getting into what used to be called like Dolby noise reduction. This was a technology for cassettes that was made to like even make it a little bit softer. I think probably most of them do that now automatically, because otherwise, honestly, like the magnetic tape can sound tinny. But that I don't know if DNR means something else now. It probably does, but like they used to, at the time, that was Dolby noise reduction, and it sounds pretty good. So yeah, I get why people like that. And I mean, it just comes from a better time.
A better time.
It really does. And I think people know that, you know, like,
yeah, I mean, my childhood wasn't a better time, but you're talking about the 90s overall. We had a better economy.
The 80s and the 90s. It was, in fact, on the way back from the concert, Rob and I were talking about this. Like, we lived in the most amazing fucking time, you know? Like, and I think, quote unquote, kids today, they know. Like, they know that was, it's like, no, that was objectively better.
Yeah, I think that's why they idolized the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
They're trying to bring it back.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, and, well, you know, unfortunately, you know, we'll probably, I mean, we're already in World War III. It's just quiet. And we'll, you know, it'll be a more open one probably next year. But, you know, at least you have cassettes.
For the time being, we get to enjoy all this crazy, amazing stuff. And I'm going to take advantage of that while I can.
Well, your tapes might be one of the few things that survives. So... you know, I mean,
I don't know. Does the data remain on those tapes after they've been blasted with radioactivity?
That's a good question about. Well, wait, it's no, yeah, an EMP. Like, why
would an EMP do anything to it?
I guess it could wipe the because you'd really need like a strong force magnet. It depends. That's.
I mean, an EMP, I'm guessing, is going to be like a very strong magnet.
Well,
like, should I not put neodymium magnets next to that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you definitely don't want to put magnets near it.
Oh, shit.
Just because, like, if you run a magnet across tape, it erases it because it reorganizes all of the...
Okay, what about, like, the closer on my cell phone? Is that magnet too strong?
I don't think so.
It's a pretty weak magnet.
Yeah.
Like, how close would it have to get to the tape? Like, right up against it?
I think it would have to be, like, practically touching it. Yeah.
Okay.
This is one of the
dangers of tape ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, tapes get eaten. Tapes can get wiped by magnets.
Who's out there eating tapes?
Well, you know, it's such a funny thing that we used to say. You know,
it would eat itself, basically.
It's like, oh yeah, like whenever, because basically on a cassette player, like the heads, the rolling heads that move the tape, they get dirty, and when they get dirty, they can actually like they
catch on the tape.
Yeah, they grip it, and
they pull it out,
pull it too fast or whatever, and we literally called that eating the tape, like that. In fact, I don't know what the hell else you would call that. You know, like I don't think there was ever a technical term. You just have to come up
with a different metaphor.
Maybe.
You know, one that's not so anthropomorphic.
Yeah, but, you know, I wonder if that was part of the appeal of the technology, because, like, you know, when you open it up, it is like a mouth. You know, when you're putting in, when you're sliding in the cassette, it opens up, and the clamshell of it, like, opens up like a mouth, and you put it in.
You know why I loved tapes as a child? Because you look at that, and you actually can kind of understand how it works.
Yes.
I mean... Like, I was always amazed, like, how do they fit all this information on this tape?
Yes.
Like, how does whatever's on this little piece of plastic translate into sound waves? I didn't get that part, but you kind of understand, like, okay, there's a beginning and there's an end, and every time you play it through, it's like reading this section of tape that's in the middle of the two rolls.
Yep.
You know? Like,
totally.
You can figure that out, and you can see how it works.
Yeah. I mean, and
and you can't do that with MP3 players.
No, right. Like you don't really see the tech in action because it's software more than like, actual analog tech.
Or even DVD players.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, well, I mean, that's a funny thing. Like, we watched Barbarella. In fact, when we talk about doing LSD, we did watch Barbarella on our second LSD trip. And it was so funny because in the middle of watching that, I said to you, I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want VHS tapes back. And I know they still get made. I know movies still get released on VHS. Actually, there was a while where there was like a 15 or like a 10 or maybe a 10-year period where they did not, but now they're getting made again.
Really?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. There was a very famous movie. Maybe it was Barbie or maybe it was something else that actually did get a VHS release.
Huh. That's amazing. See, this is how much people are idolizing the 90s. And like,
rightfully so.
All of the bigwig corporations are seeing that, this is like a movement amongst young adults.
Yep.
And they're catering to it, which like, I guess I won't complain about that because I'm also excited that VHS and cassette tapes are making a comeback. I mean, is it taking advantage of the situation for all the wrong reasons? Sure. But like, we're getting back things that are, precious to childhood memories.
Yeah. I mean, it's, boy, we could get into a big subject, but I mean, like these niche industries are like the thing that makes money because once somebody's into it, they'll spend anything.
They're all into it.
Yeah, they're all in, I mean, it's the same thing. I've talked about this a lot with, like with physical discs, with Blu-rays and whatever. Like this is a niche industry now, but at the same time, like, I don't know where, I don't have it out here, but like, I have a Caligula set from a recent release. That set cost like, I didn't pay this, but I mean, that set cost like $180. Yeah. And so like, that's the thing is, okay, how do they solve this? How do they still make money on it when people aren't into it? Mm-hmm. They just jack up the price and they throw in some extra cardboard in it. You know what I mean? And
they know it will still sell.
Yeah, right. Because the people that want it, I mean, when they're in, like you said, when they're in, and they'll pay anything. So, and that's honestly, that's fine. Like, because then in some ways it's almost artisanal.
I agree. Yeah.
And I like that. And I think that's also what people are responding to. It's like, no, this is something that's in my fucking hand. And that somebody gave a shit enough to bother to make this, to bring this into existence, into reality, which was impressive about that concert, that Master Boot record. And you were asking people for like, what's your recommendation on the first tape I should get?
Yeah, that was a weird coincidence.
Yeah. And we go there and we're at the merch table and boom, there's
my first cassette.
There's the first cassette. That's so brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, Master Boot record, like I've been talking about them on this show forever and they're so good. That was such a cool concert. And boy, let me tell you something, folks. Robin Freebeard, that boy can rock and roll. He's like a little fucking Viking. Just like he's just, yeah. I mean, he is rocking, and I'm like, yeah, man. First concert he and I have ever gone to together, and that was a great time.
Yeah, it was a really fun concert. I mean, it is too bad that it happened like on a weekday night, which was weird for us. Like, we have schedules to keep to and everything. But great concert, very cool.
Totally. So anyway, So talking about Blu-rays, talking about what I wanted to get into. I had a lot of people ask me, where is the video version of that episode that I did about Planet of the Apes? Okay. And the answer quite simply is YouTube wouldn't allow it. Like I got a copyright strike on it. And it became a question of, was it worth it to like do a lot of the work to where, you could still hear you could get some kind of video of it and still hear the audio. And I didn't really think it was worth it because like my YouTube views don't compare to my Spotify plays. Like they don't even, they're night and day. Like it doesn't even compare. I mean so the funny thing is that Spotify will automatically send a audio version with just like a video still to YouTube for me, which I like because that way people who use YouTube Music for podcasts can get the audio podcast version of it basically. Okay. But it also leads to usually 2 episodes showing up, or like two placements of the same episode showing up.
But one's audio and one's the actual video.
One's the actual video, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this situation, you shouldn't ignore your YouTube fans. Like, maybe what you can do is just cut out that video snip and say, like, if you want to see this video, go to this link.
Yeah.
Because I think there's people out there that still want to see your face when you're talking.
Yeah. I thought about doing that as well. I mean, the funny thing was, like, the Spotify audio version that went to YouTube is up. It's actually got many more plays than what my average YouTube video does. And they seem to have no problem with just the audio. It was the audio and the video that they didn't, that YouTube didn't like. And this is, again, the video aspect of things is fairly new to me, all told, considering I've been doing this for over a decade. And, you know, these are the waters I'm navigating. You know?
Yeah, it's confusing, though, because you found that video on YouTube.
Yeah, that video was from YouTube.
And you tried to include it in your video.
Right,
and
they didn't ban the original.
Yeah, that
baffled.
is weird.
Yeah, but if you watch the video on Spotify, it's fine. Spotify didn't ban it. I mean, maybe they will at some point, but like they didn't have any issue with the video on there.
Which I'm glad about.
Yep.
But like the video is part of what makes that speech so compelling.
So powerful, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm sorry that they took it down. They weren't allowing you to show it because, like, man, that was an epic scene.
Yeah, that end speech with Caesar. I mean, I told him, you told me.
I was like, rewind it.
Exactly.
We've got to watch this again.
Like, I want to watch that again. We watched it like 2-3 times more
Yeah.
than the first watch through. We're just like, oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah, and I think you were astonished because you had never seen this version before.
Never.
And yeah. I didn't realize, but apparently there's a second version of this movie that is far more popular that completely subs out the powerful parts of that speech with one that's like, oh, we're going to be so peaceful and show these humans what it's like to really coexist together. And it like was the same video, except it took out all of his violent hand motions and just kind of spliced together some footage.
Sort of showed his eyes.
Yeah. It showed his eyes close up, but then it took like some other footage of the same scene and like just dubbed audio over it.
Right.
So you could tell that it was not the original filming.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you mean this is the more popular version? Like, this was your first time seeing the version with Caesar's actual speech.
Yes. Yeah. Blew my mind. I mean, like, that was so powerful. I mean, I talked about it all in that episode, but
yeah.
Yeah, just incredible. And it's one of the reasons, boy, talk about like, why do you hold on to like physical versions and things like this? It's so that you can make sure that never gets deleted.
History is never erased.
Yeah,
it doesn't go down the memory hole.
Yep. 100%. 100%.
Oh my God. I'll never forget the end of that speech where he's pointing and he's like, that day is upon you now.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful, like,
Yep.
I shivered. I got goosebumps.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that was so good. It made me a Roddy McDowall fan forever.
Oh, he's one of the greatest. I mean, and he was already in your favorite movie of all time.
Cleopatra. Yeah,
right.
but he played Augustus Caesar.
Yeah, Octavian. But
Octavian
yeah,
Caesar.
but
Yes. So he was not like he was a powerful character, I suppose, but he wasn't a very prominent character.
True. Though he gives like such an amazing performance when Antony dies. You know, like, I mean, just when he screams out, "This was a Roman," you know, like, oh man, chills. He was supposed to win the Academy Award for that. He got snubbed. That's a lifelong.
Wow.
That's
Damn.
such a fuck up. If people have never read about that, go read about it. It's really a shame.
I don't think I've read about it.
They eventually, yeah, it was a screw up. Like the presenter was given the wrong envelope.
Oh,
and
no.
yeah, and it
was too embarrassing to take it back.
Well, it took like 25 years later, they finally wrote him a letter of apology saying, yes,
Oh my
you
goodness.
were supposed to have won this. And he knew he was supposed to win. Like everybody knew, but it didn't matter, and
They announced the wrong name and they wouldn't fix the mistake.
yeah. Yeah, and at the time,
he should have stood up and yelled at them
right.
in his Roddy McDowell way.
I know, he should have given them the Caesar speech right there. That day is upon you now.
Now.
So great.
I'm coming up there.
Oh,
I'm taking this award.
Just a master. One of the greatest actors we've ever had. Unreal. Anyway. So,
I do believe that now after watching Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this on the Planet of the Apes thing quick. So I just wanted to explain to everybody, like, if you're wondering where was the video, that's what happened there. But I want to ask you this. I mean, first off, what's your favorite Planet of the Apes movie and if you want to break them up by saga, that's fine. You know, because you have the ones from the 60s and 70s.
Right.
And you have Matt Reeves' trilogy and the West Ball film and so on. I mean, what would you put at your number one? Let me ask you that first.
Oh, man. That's a tough question. I haven't thought about that yet.
Okay.
I think my two favorite that I can immediately call out, first is that movie that we were just referencing. I think it was the third in the original series of movies.
Fourth.
The
Conquest
fourth.
is the fourth,
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, so Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. And then from the newer series, my favorite film from that one.
I mean, War, like the third one.
Yes.
Hit like a ton of bricks, right? I mean.
Yeah. I mean, that was going to be the one that I brought up. But I think it's just hard to pick a favorite one because the two series of movies are so different. They're not, like, I wouldn't call the newer one a remake because it's not a remake. It's more like a reimagining of the story.
Be the term.
Yeah. It was slightly remixed, and it's not just like we're trying to tell this story, but we're doing a bad job at it, like with the new Dune movie. It's more like it's an entirely new story, but there's a lot of elements that are very much similar.
Yeah.
Like the primary goal of the new movies is, we're still going to talk about how humans had their downfall and then apes became the most prominent intelligent species on the planet. So that is a common theme. However, like the newer movie has a different twist on like how that comes to be.
Right.
And sort of the story of existence after that occurs.
Yeah.
Like in the older series of movies, for example, there's a very clear division between most of the apes and the gorillas. So like most of the apes are peaceful.
Yeah.
And the gorillas are more war-loving. Yeah, they're the military.
The orangutans are the scientists. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the newer series of movies, you don't really get that. I mean, like, you see some gorillas in military situations, but it isn't, like, all gorillas, you know?
Yeah. Right. No, I hear that. So the next question I want to ask you, so basically you're saying Conquest for the originals, War for the new ones. War for Planet of the Apes as far as the new trilogy goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They were both amazing in different ways.
Right. So let me ask the next question. What's your favorite, and this is really more of a question for the classic movies, the classic five, because I feel like the endings for the new movies are what they are. You know, like there's no twist, there's no real shock.
Oh, but there were tears.
Oh,
there
yeah, I mean, they're
definitely
great.
tears.
Oh, these almost all of these movies are 9 out of 10s or 10 out of 10s. Like they're so great.
Yeah.
But
I'm not ashamed to say it. I sobbed at the end of one of them.
Oh yeah. No, totally. But with the classic films, which one do you think would have like the best ending? You know, I mean, I get it that everybody's like, oh, you know, damn them all to hell, you know, and seeing the Statue of Liberty at the end of the first one, like that's such a great twist. And it is. It's a classic. Like that's Rod Serling all the way. Satan bless him. That's amazing, right? But every one of those movies has kind of a either ambiguous or very odd twist ending. And
right.
I don't. And I know we talked about the ending to Conquest. I mean, my answer. So I'm basically asking what your favorite ending as far as these go, and I'll say mine first. Like admittedly, I grew up with a different version of Conquest. So now it's kind of hard for me to not say Conquest, because now that ending with Governor Breck, getting bludgeoned to death, by the apes, and Caesar giving that incredible speech.
It's basically
far more powerful.
Violent revolution.
Yeah. I mean, just way more powerful now. Because before that, honestly, my favorite, even though I think this is actually the weakest Apes film, my favorite ending was Beneath the Planet of the Apes. When Chuck Heston hits the button on the bomb, boom, Earth goes. Like that.
Everyone's dead.
No pun intended. That blew my fucking mind. Like when I was a teenager, I was like, what? They just blew up the Earth? Chuck Heston blew up the Earth?
Yes.
Fuck you, Schwarzenegger. You never did that.
With a bomb called the Alpha and Omega.
I love it. I mean, that was like that ending. Insane. Nobody sitting in theaters when that came out was expecting that.
They're
Guaranteed.
like, wait, my planet just blew up.
Guaranteed.
How are we still in the theater?
Yeah. No way you saw that coming. And it was just genius for him to be the one to do it. Like he damned everyone to hell. He really did.
Damn you all to hell.
And not a great movie overall, in my opinion. Just mine.
It's a very weird movie.
Yeah, it's strange.
The whole cult that was built around the bomb, just strange that they wear fake faces and they only reveal their faces in front of the Alpha and Omega.
Right. I mean, it's better now that we got to see the extended version that I'd never seen of Battle for Planet of the Apes, where they explain like the origin of all that quite a bit, really. But it's still a very weird movie. But all right. But what do you got? What do you pick for your favorite ending scene?
I mean, like I said, my favorite is the Caesar speech.
Yeah, it's Conquest. Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I think that humans often just take it as a given that we are the most superior species on this planet. And I mean, it's certainly not everybody who feels this way, but the vast majority of humanity, even if they're really great people to other people, they still treat animals as less than them.
Yep.
Whether it's like, believing that they just have less feelings or they're less intelligent. And when I say that generally, I mean like people look at animals and they think, wow, this creature who can't talk or doesn't have opposable thumbs, their feelings are less valid than mine because they don't have the, brain capacity to formulate words and communicate them in a way that is easy for me to understand. And I think that is patently false, and that's like an unspoken assumption that people function with the majority of the time. And this movie calls that entirely into question. It calls out everyone. And it says, you have been treating apes and other creatures on this planet like their feelings are less valid because you didn't understand them. But you didn't take the time to understand them. You just assumed that they were here to serve you. And now that's being thrown in your face.
Yeah.
And you have to live with the consequences of treating these animals like shit.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, there's a part of me that celebrates that because I want people to realize that if they spend enough time with animals, you don't need words. You just understand what they're feeling and what they're thinking, and you understand their motivations. And the reason you do is because you are them on a certain level. You are still an animal too.
Sure. And you're all part of the same superorganism too. But
yes, yeah. And we all live on this planet, and like, I feel like once you recognize that animals have feelings that are just as powerful and real as yours, there's no way that you could ever mistreat that creature unless you're a sociopath.
Patreon.com/Sovryn.
Hey,
I don't
know if we just
to become a subscriber or cancel. No, I share like what you're saying. I mean, and I think it's this franchise, Planet of the Apes, is unique. And really, I think it is unique. The only thing that I could find almost comparable might be like David Brin's like Uplift books. Is unique in that, you know, great science fiction like Star Trek and others, you know, one of the things that it will do, or even Babylon 5, is like it'll use the alien races to hold up a mirror to humanity.
Yeah.
You know, or to like express a certain aspect of humanity or something like that, right? And, you know, that's all well and good. You know, we all know about how Gene Roddenberry was using aliens to, you know, deal with social issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
In the 60s.
It's a safe way to do it.
Yeah. So the thing is that, like, I think a lot of people could watch that and just say, oh, well, silly aliens, you know, whatever. Earth isn't theirs. They're not human. They don't understand. Like, screw them. Planet of the Apes is unique in that, no, they have just as much right to this planet as you do.
Yeah, they've just been kidnapped and forced into slavery.
Right. They're part of, the apes are ultimately part of the same story, the same saga as humanity's evolutionary chain. Mm-hmm. And of human history. Go ahead.
And that's part of the reason that they face so much scorn and hatred is because they're so similar to humans.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And
like, I think humans have a fragile ego in that sense, that they don't want a competitor for you know, the top dog, so to speak.
No, I mean, yeah, and I think you could have even cut that right off. That humans have such a fragile ego. I mean, yeah, like this is this is a part of why I think that this, you know, because one of the things I mentioned in that previous episode was, you know, why isn't Planet of the Apes like just constantly talked about, just like Star Trek and Star Wars and everything else?
Right.
It's just as big. It's been going as long. It's done the money.
It's an incredible story.
Yeah, right. And I think this is part of it. I think, like, you know, oh yeah, in Star Trek, yeah, the Klingons can kind of hold up a mirror, but they're sort of off to the right, and it's not too close to us. But the apes, well, that mirror's too close. Don't hold that too close to me. I don't like that. You know, and like, oh, I can't just say, well, they're from Kronos, you know, or they're from Vulcan. No, they're from Earth.
Yeah.
And you can't just write them off like you would other alien species. And I think for a lot of people, it's cognitive dissonance. They're just like, fuck.
Yeah, I think that's ironic that people are scared of that, because that's actually a major theme in the movie is that the apes are feeling a lot of this prejudice because they are competitors to humans, and like, we remind you too much of yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we are so close.
Yeah.
And we could, you know, we could easily go back to being them.
Right.
Just like they could easily become us.
Yeah.
And like the fact that in real life, apes actually use tools and they actually can speak sign language. You know, they do amazing things. They're so intelligent. And people see that and they're like, well, that's just a dirty animal. Like, no, it's not.
Yeah. No, again, I think they're the mirror held too close. I mean, that's really the way to say it. And yeah, I think that's why people, you know, they walk away. Obviously they go and see the movies, you know, and for a brief moment, like, they think about it, but then as soon as they're out of the theater, they just turn it off and they never watch again because I can't handle it.
It's almost like Uncanny Valley in that sense. It's like, you know, AI generated people or imagery that looks very similar to the real thing, but it's just slightly off in a way, and it makes people very uncomfortable. But even so, I think people are more comfortable with the Uncanny Valley than they are with looking at how freaking similar apes are to humans.
Yeah.
Like, they would rather see an AI make something that is freakish and close to human, but still, like, disturbing in a way, because AI will never, like, have a human form that's believable.
Yeah.
Or at least that's, I think, how I feel about it right now. But for apes, like, no, that could be a person. I mean, I think they are, but like, a person is kind of a loose, you know, it's language that's very specific.
Yes, personhood as a concept is it's a legal construct, which means it's bullshit. But
especially in Star Trek, it's a big deal. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But I think each animal should have its own personhood.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that's what Planet of the Apes is arguing for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just have humans, treat other creatures with respect and individuality.
Patreon.com/Sovryn. Anyway.
All right, I'll stop. I'll get off the soapbox.
No. I love it. I love it. Just don't get it wet. I don't want you to slide off of it. You're looking great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's see. What to talk about next. We do want to get into and I can't believe the time that it already is.
All right. Well, sorry. I just wanted to say for the newer series of Planet of the Apes movies.
Yes.
The movie that I cried at the end of is basically when Caesar has his Moses moment where he dies just before he gets into the Promised Land.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I hope I'm not giving anything away. This movie's already been out for a while.
Yeah,
but
it's almost 10 years old now.
Yeah. And the Moses story, I think everybody's heard that one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, when it's Caesar that's passing away, it's such a tough story to watch. And like in that one, you're really celebrating when the humans die.
Woo!
Like even the earth itself celebrates.
Patreon.com/Sovryn. I mean, the other powerful part of it is, especially with War for Planet of the Apes, I mean, in Rise of the Planet of the Apes, so what was that? Was that 2013, I think, when that came out? And then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was 2015, and then War was 2017. And then the latest one, Kingdom, that's made by a different team, same universe though, and that just came out in 2024. Anyway, so the apes look pretty good in Rise of Planet of the Apes.
Mm-hmm.
In Dawn, they look great. Really, really great. It's like, wow, look what they're doing with CGI. I mean, yes, it's motion capture, it's mocap, whatever. I mean, so that helps. But boy, they look really good. But then, War for Planet of the Apes, I remember going to theaters with people, and these people were asking me after, how did they get people into those suits? And I'm like, no, there's no suits. Because it was that good, and that's part of what I think, to your point, part of what made it so powerful is like, they look so goddamn real, like crazy, when the snow is in their hair, like this ain't Final Fantasy Spirits Within. I mean, this looks fucking real, and it's unbelievable. I'm still, that's still, in my opinion, like that is the apex of, this is where,
the apex.
Yeah. The apex.
But
nice. This is the apex of, okay, no, we've cracked it. Like, shit can look that real. Now, you could say, well, humans, we haven't exactly gotten it down yet. Governor Tarkin still looks kind of weird in Rogue One or whatever, these kinds of things. Sure. Okay. But, oh man, for anything not human, oh no, we've licked that. We licked that years ago, but that's part of what makes it so powerful, I think, is because you don't know, like your suspension of disbelief isn't even necessary, right? At that point. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. Okay. Do we want to move on?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's talk about drugs.
Let's talk about drugs. Okay. And then we'll end off talking about some OnlyFans, which, we'll get to that when we get to that. Let's talk drugs. Do we have any? Do we want to do some right now? Is there maybe in my...
I already did mine earlier.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. So no, we're not going to do them on camera. Maybe then YouTube would have a problem. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it would let us snort cocaine on camera. Not that we're going to test that theory, but I'm just going to take a wild gander that performing illegal activities on video is censored. Yeah,
but this is XXX Tech. I have to go to those extremes. I have to take it to those limits.
What law do you think we could break on camera?
I don't know. I try to break as many as I can. We'll see.
Yeah, we're going to have to find one that we can break here. I mean, I don't know what it would be, but
sure.
give us your suggestions.
Yeah, in the comments, put them there. No, I've never done cocaine, so
no, me neither.
Yeah, anyway,
Honestly,
and have no intention. So, okay, but one that I also said I never had any intention of doing was actually LSD.
You said that.
I said that. I said
once upon
maybe
a time
in the future, that like, okay, maybe I'll try it, but I'm not like there yet. But then we'll just say like,
a friend gave it to me.
It fell in our laps. It actually, like, we saw it on the side of the road. I know it's not very trustworthy, but
I was doing my daily walk down the side of the
I was trying
road,
to cover for you,
picking
here.
up cigarette butts.
Yeah,
and
it's like, oh look, acid.
There was just so happened to be a package of acid.
Amazing. Yeah, I tell you, New Hampshire, there's no place like it. So.
And I knew exactly what it was too when I saw it.
Right.
Because there's just no question about it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, and so we've actually done it twice now.
Wow, yeah.
And the first time, so you fortunately have tremendous experience in these areas. Experience that I just had.
Thank you.
Yeah. Up until like a year or two ago, I just had none, and had no interest.
Yeah, you were actually against it.
Yeah.
Very against it.
Exactly. Even entheogens, I'm just like, no need. Don't want to do it, And eventually, and I'm not going to regale all of this again, but like eventually I wouldn't say I caved. I was finally inspired to, because you never pressured me on this. Like no one, and no one did, even though so many people in my like closer circle were like, oh man, I mean, they all did psilocybin and whatever,
right.
You know what I mean? And very positive for them.
Yeah. And I think what might have sparked that interest for you is the fact that like before we got together, I used drugs quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then, we got together, we got married. We've been together for years now, since 2018.
Yep.
And in that time, I've never done any drugs.
No. Yeah, you dropped them cold turkey when we started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is incredible.
And part of the reason that I respected your desire to never do drugs was that I had seen plenty of people in my life who did and were not having good experiences, or they were not the best people. There's some people who I knew that even passed away tragically because of too many drugs, Yeah. And I think that you not wanting to do them and just wanting to maintain your normal, state of awareness, like that's completely respectable. And,
sure.
And like, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. And I think that your perspective about, being able to enjoy life fully when you're not on drugs, like, yeah, I get it, And there's a thing, about control with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it probably helped also that I wasn't a prude, like...
No, that's true. You are very much the opposite of a prude.
Yeah, like and after a fashion, I'm quite the party animal, actually. So
right, which is kind of surprising, because usually like tons of sex and drugs go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's what makes that. But and not for me. So
yeah.
Anyway,
but like even after all of this time together, me not doing drugs for so many years, I at some point was like, I'm still interested in doing this.
Yeah.
Like if somebody offered it to me, I would want to say yes.
Right.
And I think I told you that, like I expressed that that feeling to you. And I don't know if that might have helped inspire you to think like, okay, this is worth a try. But then there's also all of the other literature about mushrooms, like John Allegro's work.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, like the yes.
And Paul Stamets.
Yes. And the most important figure besides you, and let me be clear on this again, that because this will also speak to like, okay, why did I, say like, okay, well, I'm not so interested in LSD, but now I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same reason for psilocybin, in that I had somebody in my life, you, who I finally trusted that completely with my life. and that I knew that if something went sideways, would handle things, and would take care of me and blah, blah, blah. So that's ultimately the reason, but the most important figure, again, outside of you, is Frank Herbert. When I read Masterpiece in Disarray by Max Every, and it talked about how, he was just popping mushrooms and who knows what the fuck else. And then he's like, he's writing Dune. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, and like once I realized that that's like so much of what he was talking about really with the spice and everything else, that's when I was finally like, okay, so this is just part of the science fiction journey. Fine, let's go.
Yeah. And like, I think one of the first times that we did mushrooms together, we ended up talking about Frank Herbert's work for hours.
Yeah, actually, yeah, like a couple times, like, and yeah, totally.
It was mind blowing.
Yes. Those conversations are still carried with me, in everything I think and do, now. So anyway, the reason I didn't want to do LSD was because I'm like, no, that shit's made in a lab. Like psilocybin's, part of the earth, part of the universe,
Yeah.
But LSD, no, that's invented by the CIA, and that's, and again, it's created in a lab. I'm not so interested in that.
Yeah.
And,
It's not totally natural. I would say it has some natural precursors. Like the ergot mushroom is a precursor to chemically to LSD.
So you're saying it's not totally unnatural?
I'm saying it's closer to natural than something that is like, purely chemical, like meth.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, hopefully, it's not filled with rat poison, which, I mean, we found it on the side of the road. Who knows? But
I mean, we've already finished taking it twice and we still don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing too. And thankfully you read this book as well, by John Potash, Drugs as Weapons Against Us.
Very educational. Yes.
Yeah. And it's funny because I recently listened to an interview with him, and he makes it very clear. He's like, he says, I'm talking about LSD and, a lot of these like other kinds of drugs. He says marijuana and basically, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but essentially he was saying, marijuana and psilocybin, like those are kind of a different story, even though he's still not necessarily a fan of, like, it sounded like he wasn't so much a fan still of either, or at least of marijuana, but like he understood that people can have amazing experiences with psilocybin. But LSD was still very much on his no list. He claims to have studies that show that LSD can cause brain damage. And of course he does bring up the rat poison thing often.
Yeah,
he did as well in
that
Drugs as Weapons Against Us. Go ahead.
Sorry. He said that about MDMA as well.
Yes, that's true.
And I think to claim that brain damage is caused by taking these drugs, even just once at a reasonable dosage, I think that there's no evidence for that, or at least there's like not very much evidence.
Right.
So anytime that people have brain damage from these things, I think is, signs that they actually overdosed.
Yeah. I mean, I have tremendous respect for his work, like insane respect for his work.
Yes. Of course.
And that book in particular is one of the most engrossing reads I've ever had in my life. I mean, just insane. The encyclopedic and investigative work that he did is almost second to none.
It did feel like a confetti cannon at times.
Yes,
but
right.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of research, and I'm glad that I read it because there's history about LSD that is, I think, important for people to know so that they don't get taken advantage of. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's always in the back of my mind, right? And, I was skittish to do LSD because I'm like, well, okay, maybe I'll do it, but like, I don't want to be doing it in Laurel Canyon. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want this to be a Laurel Canyon situation.
It's not. We don't have to do any of this as a party drug.
Yeah, right.
These drugs that you've been trying, we've never done them in a public setting.
Yeah.
Or at least not at first.
No, right. And so the 2 times we've done LSD. I mean, mushrooms, whole other. We lost count.
Yeah, I think we started in the springtime of 2024, and like we've just been doing it pretty regularly ever since.
Has it only been that long?
Yeah, it's been less than a year.
No.
For you.
I think. Oh, maybe you're right.
Springtime of 2024.
You're right. Yep, you're right.
I will never forget the day.
You're right.
We went on that walk,
yes,
and we sat
amazing.
in the field. It was a rainy spring day. We looked at the flowers and the trees. And
Yeah.
so nice.
Yes, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one thing I want to say on the onset here, okay, is because I'm talking about this because hopefully it's like interesting for people, because I think my perspective is on the rarer side. Most people by my age of 43, they've probably already long done it.
Or they did it back in college or something.
Right.
And they like, quote unquote, got it out of their system.
Yeah, something like that. Whatever. So, and you come from, I think, just such a well-reasoned position. I think what you have to share is even more important. But
thank you. I don't know what you're talking about, but thank you.
Well, it's so. But what I want to open up with is that, like, let me be clear here. I do want this to be something that people can take something away from. And I will say this: I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend LSD?
Yeah, I don't recommend it. Or at the very least, I sure as hell don't recommend it be the first one you do, as far as entheogens go.
Oh, no, it should not be the first.
No.
I would not recommend that either. But
yeah.
I do recommend the experience at some point.
Yeah. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
So, but I just want to get that out up front, because I think people might be like, oh, this is Brian telling everybody to go do drugs. Oh, no. Actually, maybe not. Okay. So I went hard. We went hard the first time.
Yeah, you did. It was your choice.
Yeah. We're like, all right, yeah, we'll start with one sheet. Is that the nomenclature? Is that the lingo? Is that hip with it?
Yeah, one tab.
One tab. Okay.
By the way, they were gel tabs. They're not the paper that I think traditionally people are used to.
Right, because otherwise it wouldn't have survived on the side of the road. So yeah. So
right.
Yeah, exactly. So the gel tab. So we did one, and I think maybe it was about an hour we were waiting. And we're like, yeah.
We weren't waiting. I was getting ready. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, but we were like, this isn't hitting as hard, And so I'm like,
it rolled on very slowly.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, if you want to do another one, I'm like, and I think you said it's like, oh, I will if you will, and I'm like, yeah, like, all right, what the hell? So we did two. Yeah,
you wanted to up the intensity.
Yeah. So we did two, and I think that was a mistake.
You think it was a mistake?
No, all right, the whole thing was not a mistake. Okay.
Well, thank goodness, because I had an excellent time.
No, I did too. I actually had a great time both times. Like,
it was wonderful.
Yes, it was. We're going to talk about why, okay? But I'm just saying that, like, so here's the thing. I can. All right, indulge me, please, for just a moment.
Of course.
So for those watching video, if you can't tell, I mean, this lightsaber is glowing red. There's a gigantic Darth Vader behind me. There's Imperial shit everywhere. I identify with the Empire, but here's the thing. Okay. I very much, and Ellen, you know this, and I think you're the only person I probably ever told this to, but now other people are going to fucking hear it. I very much feel like Luke Skywalker. Now, that's not like some kind of like hero or messiah complex or anything like that. Not at all. No.
You don't think you're the one?
No. Fuck no. I'm the guy. What guy? That guy. Oh. Run away from those people. So anyone that talks like that.
The messiah.
Yeah. I feel like Luke Skywalker in the post-Return of the Jedi sense. Okay. And what I mean by that is, like, I feel incredibly alone. I feel like I have this lineage and knowledge kind of passed down.
You are the last of a long line.
Kind of, yes.
Of a tradition of some kind.
Yes. And
what is that tradition?
That's a great question that I won't answer. And not right now. And
when will you answer?
There is no when. No, sorry.
Somebody's keeping secrets.
In that, like, I have like these scraps, okay? And if anybody grew up in the 90s reading like Star Wars Expanded Universe stuff, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? Where I have these scraps of things and of knowledge, and like I'm trying to put this all back together and trying to maybe not rebuild so much, but like just figure it the fuck out, okay? You know, just like Luke Skywalker's doing, like, oh yeah, there was this Jedi Order, but nobody knows what the fuck that stuff was anymore. And I know a little bit from like Yoda and from Obi-Wan, but that's all I've got. And I've got to piece this all back together. And yeah, I think getting married's fine, but then you find out, oh, actually the Jedi never got married and whatever. Okay. All that kind of nonsense. Okay. But in one of my favorite comic book series, Dark Empire, there's a point where Luke comes to this conclusion that like, I have to go to the dark side because I have to know. Otherwise I can't understand the light side.
Yeah,
okay.
you know, good for him. I'm glad he decided that. Finally.
Yeah, no, me too.
He manned up.
Right. And this is the thing. In that sense, okay, he's basically saying, I'll try anything once, right? That's basically what Luke Skywalker is saying here. Of course, it's Tom Beach writing, not George Lucas, but whatever. And that's the thing. Now, I won't try anything once, okay?
Oh, not just anything.
No, not just anything. But I see the value in trying some things. And here's the thing. Once I try something, much like Luke went through, once I try something, I can handle it. Like,
yeah, you become acclimated to it.
Yeah. I mean, not even just necessarily like, because, you know, some of these things can really take you for a ride, but I can handle the ride once I've done it once. I mean, I can handle the once anyway, because I feel like I have an incredibly strong foundation in reality. Okay.
You just want to be able to know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like going up the roller coaster, you know, the first going up before there's the big dip. It's like, how bad is the big dip going to be? Once you know how bad the big dip is, you can deal with it, you know, going forward, right?
Sure.
It's not scary anymore or whatever. Okay. And so I'm very much the same way, right? Like once the first time I did psilocybin and we went really hard, harder than we expected.
Harder than we expected.
Yeah,
yes,
and harder and faster.
That's a good point.
Than we expected, right? And I was nervous as hell during the whole thing and was not prepared. Okay.
Yeah, I felt bad about that.
That's all right. That's all right. I don't blame you. But once I did it, now it's old hat. It's like, yeah, give it to me. You know, it doesn't matter. What? You know, like
you are deep into this. You are like a hardcore drug user now.
Come on, right in my veins.
Eating mushrooms every single weekend.
Main line. Okay, yeah. So, but this is my point. Is that like once I do it once, like I got it. Okay, you know, the bull has been ridden.
You immediately become seasoned.
Yeah. And I mean, this is true for a lot of things, but regardless, okay, LSD, same deal, right? Like the first time, and especially doing 2 tabs, like that was hard.
I warned you, though. I was like, hey, if we do this second tab, I've never even done this much. I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But you were ready for it.
Right.
You wanted it.
Yeah. And, you know, and so we did it. And I feel like to some degree it paid the price for that. We'll talk about that. Okay.
You paid the price.
Well, I'm just saying that because
I made you pay.
Well, yes. But now I know because the second time we did it, which was just a few days ago, we only did 1 tab. And that was far gentler in experience.
Would you say half as hard?
Yeah, half. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like literally, it's half as hard. But far gentler. And if that was, I mean, in one sense, I'm kind of glad it did the 2 thing first because then I could appreciate the 1. And you know, if I were to do LSD again, it'd probably only be 1 tab because like the benefits were still there. I didn't need the 2, you know, like I think to have the same amazing experience.
Do you want to talk about your experience? What was it like doing 2 tabs of LSD?
Yeah. And I want to hear from you as well. I feel like I've been talking way too much here. So wait, the experience of 2, is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, you know, we started and you were like, yeah, let's put on one of those like fractal videos from YouTube, and so we put that up on the big screen.
Yeah, it's a very enjoyable thing to do while you're tripping.
Yeah, and there's like some light EDM kind of chill step, almost chill step.
The music changed quite a bit. Like there were different genres of music that were playing.
Yeah, it was like trip hop. And
like
else.
Every few minutes, the fractal would change, the music would change.
Sure, that was beautiful. Like that was really, really stunning to watch.
We were watching that for an hour.
Yeah.
And like for the majority of the time, I was completely entranced.
Yeah. That was really, really wild to watch.
And it seemed like you were too.
Yeah. I mean, me. This is another thing. So, in my extensive research, and it's research, it's not just an internet connection. Okay. So into like
only if you have a bibliography.
Ooh, nice, very nice. I'm always like really cautious for like subliminal messaging and things like this and whatever.
You are.
Yeah,
you even see it when it's not there.
Yeah, and yeah, right, yeah. I just don't want it. And
overly cautious.
Yeah, overly cautious to the point that like when certain like lighting effects and other things are being done in a film, even if it's completely harmless, like I actually actively look away, and just to like break the cycle of what's going on. That's what goes through my head. Okay. And only the paranoid survive, folks. So, like when we're watching this video, I'm not letting myself go too deep because I'm like, even though I get it, this is all mathematically generated. There's no horseshit here, whatever. Like there's nothing wrong with it, but I just have that natural propensity. What that comes out of, that is a whole other episode. So this was stunning, like watching that, and the music was nice, like, I mean, it worked. Some of the trip hop I could have done without, but overall it was nice. Like it would have been better if it was more chill step, but, yeah, that was pretty interesting. And we're doing that. And then it gets to the point where, God, how did that even start? Like
what?
We just started ripping clothes off.
Oh, how did that start? That's a great question.
Yeah.
I just remember you saying that you wanted to see all of me, and we have had this conversation before.
Yeah.
I did not think it was like physically possible to have sex while on LSD.
Or at least have an orgasm.
Or MDMA, for that matter. Uh-huh. Well, so I say sex in the sense of like P and V because
PIV,
yeah. Or having an orgasm. I've just heard from other people, and I suppose that that's not like really great evidence, but you take stories from people who are your friends pretty seriously, and I'd heard in the past that like men have trouble getting erections when they're tripping, or that like you can have sex for hours and you'll just never have an orgasm.
Right.
And I thought that it would not be as enjoyable because like you're just going to be struggling the whole time and you're never going to reach the peak. So what's the point,
Yeah, right.
But then at the same time, like in my mind, I kind of know that there's this stereotype that exists of, people doing these drugs and like partaking in very sexually risque behavior. So like, I don't know, I guess the messaging was confused in my mind, but like I had never tried to have sex while on drugs.
Yeah.
Like usually I was either talking with someone in very deep conversation or at a party having a great time.
Right.
And when I say party, I mean a place with like hundreds of people and
music
that is so loud that you can't even talk to the person standing next to you.
Right.
So like don't even try.
Right.
You're just going to lose your voice.
Right.
And that's not the point. You're there to dance and to like look at other people's costumes and the pretty lights,
Yeah.
So this was a unique experience for me as a drug user. So I wish I could recall how it started, but because we took 2 tabs of acid, I was feeling very, I was having an out-of-body experience, I guess.
Yeah.
It was more than I had ever felt, and while we were watching that fractal visualizer, I even said to you at one point, I feel like every time the mood changes in this video, they're reminding me to ask myself, who am I? Where am I? What year is it?
Yeah, right.
Wait, who am I? Like, I was just getting so lost in the moods and my thoughts and the fractals that I could have been anyone. It could have been, like, any time in history. Like, it was all equally as believable and vividly visualizable.
Right.
And I loved that, you know? Like, I had no problem with that, but it was kind of jarring, like, any time it drew me back to the present, you know?
Yeah.
So there were moments in time where, like, okay, I don't remember everything that we talked about or said, but there are definitely moments that I remember and feelings, and, like, the whole experience overall was just very impactful in the sense that, like, I've never had that sort of, like, mobility of consciousness.
Right.
But yeah, again, getting back to the point, I don't remember how it started. I just remember you saying, like, that you wanted to, like, see me and touch me, and I was like, okay, well, I've never done this before, but let's do it.
Well, I know. So yeah.
I think we were sitting on the couch, like, making out, and we just got, like, really excited.
Yeah, I mean, I was rock hard. Like, I knew that.
Oh, you were, like, the whole time.
It got to that point.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty quickly. I mean, where I was just, I mean, I was hard as fuck.
It's not hard.
No, for me,
for me to make that happen to you.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. That's happening multiple times. It happens all the time. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
no
can just,
what
like, come home and hug you, and you're, like, already hard.
Right. Exactly. So it's not that weird, but you were, like, very into everything that was going on, and yeah, I mean, you ended up like taking your clothes off, and you got on top of me. I mean,
you were so excited too.
Oh yeah,
it was so funny. You were, like, so excited you were nervous, and I was like, calm down, it's okay. I feel appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please don't grab me so hard.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. You know, I mean, the thing is, like, so with psilocybin, like, I feel a certain warmth. I felt that same kind of warmth with LSD. It's not so much the agitation that I feel when things are, like, rubbing on me. Like on psilocybin, I want to take my clothes off because, like, I hate feeling seemingly unnatural things on me.
It's more comfortable that way.
Yeah. It's very different as to where that's not what this was, you know. And this was, like, I mean, and also, you know, part of my reason for wanting to do these things is going back to, like, Frank Herbert. Like, I want to understand the universe more. Or yes, I mean, obviously they didn't make LSD thousands of years ago, but, you know, entheogens were a part of the program for sure. And, you know, I want to experience part of what they experienced. Okay. You know, part of whatever this was, you know, that they experienced. And, you know, to me, what I do know is that sexual rituals were a massive part of all this. Okay. And so having sex during these experiences is certainly, like, could I call it a goal? Yes. And conscious or unconscious?
I knew it.
Yeah, right. Conscious or unconscious. I mean, having sex on psilocybin was kind of difficult, and could only do it more towards the end as it was tapering off, I feel like. Granted, like, really hard psilocybin trips, we haven't done that many of those. You know?
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I don't know, you know, we'll see what that's like in the future. But with LSD, completely different story. Like, oh, no. I'll have sex. Like, let's go.
I'll have that, please.
Yeah. In fact, let's go for a long time.
I think we were having sex for, like, almost 3 hours.
Yeah, it was about 3 hours.
I want to say
at that first time.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the second time too, because it wasn't much different. But yeah, we were going for a while, and I think, somewhat to detriment because we didn't drink enough water because we just kept fucking.
Right. And we were sitting right in front of the fireplace, so we're getting a little dehydrated.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But that sex felt so fucking good.
Yeah, like I think I've imprinted upon you. Like without meaning to.
Well said. Great callback. Way to go, Bene Gesserit.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
My skills in this area are such that I can now imprint.
Well, okay, yeah. So, so that's the thing. So I mean, let me talk about the sex a little bit more, but then I want to say about the after effect. Okay, like it was like when eating your pussy, okay, which I love doing anyway, and your pussy is so beautiful. Like it is just.
Thank you.
Wow. And
you're very good at it.
Thank you.
You were an excellent performer that night. That's for sure.
Well, because part of it was like I would close my eyes, and like normally when anybody closes their eyes, like there's a light show.
Yeah,
that often goes on. You see, fractal stuff, whatever. Okay, but like this was a whole other thing. When I would close my eyes and I'm like, moving my head while licking your pussy, and I'm just seeing like just stars. I mean, just like amazing shit, and it just totally egged me on.
What about when you opened your eyes? Was it like strange in any way?
I don't know. No, I don't know that it was that strange. And this is something else that I feel like is superior with psilocybin compared to LSD. I mean, here's the thing. You, Ellen, are a work of art. Okay. No matter what a person's on or not on. You just are.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On LSD, like that's all I could keep saying was just like, wow, like you are the goddess. You are, but you're
so beautiful.
Yeah,
you're so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think what that was, it's not that you necessarily look different though, but on psilocybin, you look crystalline. Like, I mean, you are like, there are just diamonds around you. It is something so powerful to behold. I don't get that with LSD.
But you know what you did tell me?
What's that?
When we were on LSD.
What did I say?
You said you totally understood why, what is the female elf in Lord of the Rings?
Oh, yes.
Why she was written that way.
Yeah, Galadriel.
Yeah, Galadriel.
Yes.
When Frodo offers her the ring, so she's like the angelic, pure, sweet, kind elf who's like perfect in every way.
Yes.
But then Frodo offers to give her the ring of power, and she becomes this demonic witch, and she's like, everyone would tremble in terror at my beauty.
Yes.
And she's
everyone
like,
would love her.
Yeah,
yes.
Talking about how she would be like a chaotic and cruel queen.
Right.
But everybody would love her because they'd be so smitten with her.
Right.
And you're like, I get why she was written that way now. And you embody that. Like, you were telling me that I am like the entire universe.
Well, you are.
In the sense that it's both terrifying and beautiful, and because of that you can't look away.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did see you, like, I mean, I was still seeing you with new eyes for sure, and I think that more of my senses were picking up on more of just what makes you exist. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that it wasn't like, it was a different type of beauty than the way I see you with psilocybin. Like, I see you differently on psilocybin than I do on LSD.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of the experience, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, just to add some color on that, it's, Tolkien is basically saying, like, yeah, even the person who you think is, oh, they're so nice, they're so wonderful, blah, 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 nobody can, right? The Lord of the Rings is a great anarchist story because nobody can hold the Ring of Power. Sauron is holding, he is the tyranny of fear when he has the Ring of Power. As to where Galadriel would actually be and this seems, like, quixotic's not the right word, but paradoxical, I guess, in that she's the tyranny of love. Right?
It's
like
unexpected.
The
it's like,
tyranny
what
of
do you
beauty.
mean?
Yeah, it's like, wait, what is that? And you don't know. And yeah, I didn't understand it until I saw you then. Like, it was just this beauty that was, like
if you
beyond...
stare it straight in the eye, it will destroy you. You'll lose your mind.
Right. It was very much like the videos we were watching. Like, you'll be completely lost and consumed in the depths, and you'll just stay there and never leave,
And if that didn't boost my ego, knowing that I can destroy people by staring too deeply into their eyes.
And I think you can. And they don't need to be on any entheogens, like, for that to occur. I mean, and that's a conversation we also had on psilocybin previously, but that's another subject for another time. But that's the thing is I felt that, and I just wanted you so fucking badly,
Yeah.
And well, I mean, we were doing it for over 3 hours.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah. And
especially when we put on Paul Oakenfold.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I want to talk about that next. but let me finish up with, okay, so the after effects of this. Ever since that first time doing LSD, I get the only lingering effects that I have from it. No, I don't think it's brain damage or, anything like that. Nothing negative. But I get these insane, painful is not the right word. Uncomfortable, maybe. Like, it's not, it sounds like a problem, but I don't necessarily see it as a problem.
Because you work from home.
Well, yeah, thankfully. But I get these insane, uncomfortable hard-ons. Like, so bad. Harder than I've ever felt.
And you said it's just random.
Completely random.
You're not even thinking about anything sexual, and it creeps up on you?
Like I tell you, or, and you know me, I mean, I'm always thinking about that. But at the same time, like, that never, like, oh, I mean, yes, if I let a fantasy go far enough, sure, I get hard, right? But yeah, this is without going deep into a fantasy of some kind, or deep into the spank bank or memory, you know what I mean? And I just get, like, insanely hard. And, like, I'm, like, messaging you in the middle of the day, like, holy shit, can you fucking come home? Like, I am, like, this is so bad.
Yeah, I'll leave work right now.
Yeah, right.
On my way to you.
Yeah, it's like, or do I need to drive to you and we'll go off to the, and anyway.
Yeah, we'll sneak off during my lunch break.
Exactly, which, not like we haven't done that before.
Just
got
have
a big
sex
truck.
in the back of the truck.
Yeah, so, anyway, welcome to XXX Tech, folks. So, but this happens every day. Like, and it's
still happening to you now?
Yes.
Like, almost 3 weeks later.
Yes. Like, this is not stopped. And it was, I mean, this is the other thing too. And look, like, let's detour a little bit to the second time that we did LSD. Okay. Again, this is a smaller amount. We only did 1 tab, not 2. I mean, how much sex did we have?
We still had a lot of sex. Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
but
it was still hours. And...
Yeah, I guess I'll just say I was very cold and uncomfortable, and I think I was feeling like some amount of discomfort. It wasn't like a great day for me, and then taking the LSD later, it was fun for sure, but I don't think I was in the best headspace.
Yeah.
But like going into it, when we first started having sex, it was like, yeah, it's good. But like I was constantly distracted by, just feeling off, It wasn't until like an hour into it, I think, that I really started to get into it,
Yeah, I mean, you definitely did. And
I did. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I came 3 times that day.
Which is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I can do that kind of anyway, but like we were going for so long.
I think normally we just don't take the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Normally we just feel like rushed to do other things. Yeah. But when you're on drugs, you just have that confidence of knowing I can't do anything else.
Yeah, no, you just got to ride this pony.
Yeah.
And
I did.
Yeah. Stallion.
Ride the pony.
Yeah. But you orgasmed that time.
It took some effort, but yeah, I did. I did. It was a first.
Please tell us what that was like.
Well, it was an orgasm, so it was fucking amazing. I mean, can you really complain about it?
No, right. I know you're not complaining, but like it felt like it went on for a while. I mean, I was right there with you. And I mean, so for contrast, the first time we did LSD, I thought I jumped out of the universe.
That rocked your body.
Yeah.
That was intense.
Yeah. I thought holy shit, I just blasted gateway process, Robert Monroe. I'm out of here.
Yep.
And
you
I
went to
came
the
back down.
stars.
Yeah. I mean, I went like, whoa, that's what the Ein Sof looks like. I mean, I was out.
Yeah.
You know, that was crazy.
It was so intense. And that genuinely did go on for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think you couldn't talk for a while after that.
Yeah. You know, but I mean, so yours wasn't at that level, I'm guessing.
No, but it was still very good.
Yeah.
Like
stronger than usual is what I'm asking. Was it that?
Maybe not the strongest I've ever had.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay.
It was you know, I had an orgasm, but I was on LSD, so it was different, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just an experiential thing. It's hard to put into words.
Sure.
I don't know that I can say it was more intense. All I can say is that it just felt different.
Okay. What is the greatest orgasm you've ever had? No.
Well, it was with you, for sure.
Okay. Oh, that's all I needed. All right.
That's the important thing.
You're just saying that, please.
I am not just saying that. I think you've seen all of the various levels of intensity of my orgasms.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've brought in the mop and bucket. I know.
Some of them are more explosive than others.
Thank you. I love my job.
You take your job very seriously.
I do. Look, where I come from, in Judaism, it's right there. It says it in the Talmud. It's how it says it in Torah. You don't please your wife. You don't satisfy her sexually. That is grounds for divorce. She can leave you, buddy.
And I would.
Yeah, it is.
And I have done that in the past.
Yes, right on.
But I am never going to leave you. No matter what happens. I mean, right. I just can't leave you. I literally physically could not.
Same. I feel the same way.
Physically, I am addicted to you.
Same. Oh, man. Yes. I mean, I was just going to say, I think the reason Christianity was invented was because so many people wanted to become Jews, but they just couldn't go. Like, the men couldn't go with that. Wait, I have to please my wife? What the fuck? I'm a Roman, goddammit. You know, and...
Yeah, women are like property.
Yeah, exactly. Like what are you talking about?
Who cares if they're pleased?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's part of the reason that, Christianity came to be, because, you know, men don't want to please their women.
Well, they also couldn't because of their tiny white Roman dicks.
Whoa!
I mean, have you seen those statues? They're little.
That's true. I mean, they had to put a fucking fig leaf on the David, you know?
They're like, we're too ashamed to look at this.
That thing.
It's like a caterpillar.
Woo! All right, I'm leaving that in. So obviously I don't fall prey to that. Okay.
No. You are well endowed.
This is totally unprompted, folks. I am not, you're watching on video. I am not saying anything. Fortunately, this desk is covering, anyway. Okay. So.
I am a very lucky person.
Where's this lightsaber? Oh, it's plugged in. Never mind. I was going to hold it up.
It's not big enough.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, now, to be clear, I'm the lucky person. Oh, man, I don't even know where to go after that. All right, so... Okay. So,
I think we're talking about LSD sex.
Yeah. Okay, so let me touch on this, because I think people would want to hear this from me. Okay. Like, you know, if there were, say, an ancient priesthood, okay, that sexual rituals were like a part of what they did in the Holy of Holies in some temple. I don't know why I use the word Holy of Holies. What am I talking about? Lots of people use that term.
It's stolen from your people. It was appropriated by the Christians.
Right. My understanding of the amount of sex that this ancient priesthood had in the temple itself, like, even to me, seems to steal from the Greeks who stole from us, Herculean. Okay, it's like, wow, really? Like, and you had to do it that much, But taking LSD, suddenly, like, oh, I get it. Wow. Because, just going that long, the experience of the orgasm even, like, lined up so much with some ancient texts. And not only that, but even, like, what I've been going through. I mean, and you've been here when it happens, like, of where, like, suddenly there's just this, and again, I use the word painful. I don't mean it in a bad way, like I have priapism or something like that. Okay. We're like, no, I have to have relief. Like, I have to. Like, okay, I got it. This is what they were talking about. And this is why, they had the Savan, they had all this other stuff. Like, And I never understood that until I did this.
Well, you're talking about a cult of people that, okay, well, maybe not a cult.
No,
that's extreme.
that's
but
a
group of people
term.
that, lived in the temple, and their entire life was devoted to repairing the universe by having sex.
Yes.
So, like, what else are they going to do with their time?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, no, right. But I mean, like, to understand, like, the need, and like the drive, I should say, not the need, but the drive. Like, now I get it, and so that's not to say that these people, that this cult, again, in the anthropological sense, it's a great word.
Yes.
Okay. Needed entheogens for this, but they're definitely a part of it. And
they helped.
Yeah.
For
and I
sure.
can see why, because it created a different experience, and you did need, a diversity of experiences.
Yeah. It's a slightly more euphoric experience.
Yeah, sure. Right. So yeah, that's amazing. I mean, like, bottom line, and I can't say this is true for everybody because everybody has different experiences when they trip. But boy, sex on LSD is fucking insane. Like, wow.
It was amazing.
Yes.
I even asked my friends afterwards, like, is this what people do when they have, when they're on drugs? They just, like, have sex for hours? And apparently, yes. Like, I did not know, which is crazy because, like, we have spent so many years here in New Hampshire around the kinds of people who would be doing that all the time.
Yeah. How did nobody tell me? Like, literally no one has ever, my reputation of being a prolific wangsman, and nobody ever came up to me and said, Brian, look, I know you're straight edge, but you gotta try sex on XYZ, Nobody ever told me that. How the hell did that never come up?
I have no idea. I don't know why people don't talk about this more often. Like, I think as far as, if you want to talk about sexual enhancement, yeah, give LSD a try. Like, it doesn't have to be a huge dose, but it really, I mean, for me, increased my desire. It increased my pleasure in the experience. And reduced my amount of self-consciousness, like in the sort of, like, judgy way. Like, I wasn't looking at myself thinking, oh, I look fat from this angle, or like, oh, I wish I didn't have this quality or that quality, I think I just was in the experience, and I was fully present, and I was enjoying it, allowing myself to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's really what's special about it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'll edit this out if you want, okay? But, like, you basically expressed to me that you were like, yeah, I'm ready to walk outside naked. I'm ready for the orgy.
Yeah, well, that was kind of part of that was part of the 2-tab night when we did a lot of LSD.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in a very accepting state, like a very pliable state. And I understood why the CIA would develop this as a mind control substance. Now, I don't feel like I was being mind controlled in any way.
Right.
But having that experience, I realized like how suggestible people become when they have too much LSD.
Sure.
And the thoughts that I was having, that I was putting upon myself, were suggesting to me that like I could be existing in a totally different reality than the one I normally do.
Right.
And it was equally as believable to me as the real one.
Right.
You know? And that was part of that perspective shifting that I was experiencing, which was really unique. And I did enjoy it. And I hope someday I get to like write about it because there's just too much for me to say like in this podcast.
Yeah.
That I feel like I'd just be grasping for words trying to explain myself. But yes, very much. I was feeling like I could have accepted doing just about any crazy thing and not feel embarrassed about it.
Right.
And that includes, like, if we were at an orgy or, like, if there were more than just us naked in the room, you know, like, I wouldn't have cared. I would have just enjoyed the experience.
Yeah. I mean, do you mind if I take a moment to describe some of our relationship dynamic?
Please do. Honestly, sorry, if I can just complain for a second.
Please.
I feel like there's, and you know this, there's, like, people that I work with that are pretty obviously, like, interested in me, but they
I
just
expect every guy to look at you and want you.
You expect it. Yeah. So you're not upset by it. But
no.
like the thing that bothers me is that there's just not like a lot of courage in the world right now, especially with like men approaching women. And I think people should understand in this day and age that not all marriages are like perfect monogamous marriages like society paints.
Right.
That everybody should have.
Right.
And you and I obviously are non-traditional.
Yes.
And I think that much is obvious. If anybody knows me, they know I'm a weirdo in some way.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, you as well. But nobody ever asks me, what's your relationship like with your husband? You know, what's your relationship agreement? Like, what is part of the program and what is not? Because if somebody was like genuinely interested in wanting to be a part of our lives in that way, all they would have to do is ask, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I have a lot of theories as to why that is, but it annoys the hell out of me. I hate the lack of courage.
I agree.
Fucking be upfront.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it drives me up a wall. And I think a big part of it is like, I think when most guys encounter you and they get to like spend, you know, at least a meaningful amount of time, say, with you, they want to imagine that I don't exist because they want you for themselves, which I totally understand. I understand the wanting you.
I don't appreciate that though.
No, I know.
Mean,
yeah.
You're such a significant part of my life. I think anybody who wants to be a significant part of my life also has to respect you.
Yeah.
And has to at least be friends with you.
Yeah.
Or try. You know, just try.
Yeah, and like the insane part is like, by and large, I'm the nicest guy in the world. Like, no,
you are. Yeah.
Okay.
You're my best friend as
Yeah.
well as my lover.
Thank
I mean,
you,
like, anybody would be lucky to talk to you, to be friends with you.
Yeah, thank you.
And they would genuinely benefit from it.
Thank you. So, I mean, I want to clarify a little bit. You know, I'm not the nicest guy in the world, but like,
You're honest.
Yeah. but I hold so many things to be completely meaningless and unimportant that, like, why be mean? You know what I mean? Like, you know.
No, you're not mean-spirited in any way.
Yeah.
I think you just, you have different values than most people do.
Yes. Yeah. So it comes off as like nice because I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like you're just, I look at someone else and it's just, you're not a threat. Like you can't harm me.
You're also very self-confident. That's true.
Sure.
Like
sure.
You have an immense amount of confidence in yourself and belief. And that is well deserved,
Thank you.
But I really love that about you. I love that you are not an insecure person.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Like, what you bring to the table.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have competition.
Yeah. All right. Your words. I wasn't going to say it. Right. I might have, but I wasn't going to say it. Your words. Yeah. So there's that. Okay. Now, I don't normally like say this stuff out loud necessarily.
No,
you know what I
just
mean?
to me.
Yeah. So I'm not like trying to create a cult of personality or anything here, for fuck's sake. Anyway.
Yeah. No, you don't need other people to believe that about you.
No. Yeah. No, I've always said it. I don't need a circle to jerk it. I mean, it's so, anyway, so the other thing, so there's that part of it that I feel like, guys just want to pretend I don't exist. The other part of that, I do also often, not always, but often think it's a fear, because they're probably thinking, and I'm going to use colloquialisms here. Okay. Not that I so much like these terms, but they're probably thinking like, whoa, like what kind of a man was able to put a ring on her finger? And
you are a man. And I think there's an intimidation factor along with that.
Sure.
I mean, like, I think it's funny. I recently brought you to a work function along with me, and some of my coworkers met you, and they, like, treat me better now because they've met you.
You haven't told me this.
I think so. Yeah, I've noticed a difference. There's a little bit more respect for me now.
Okay.
People see I'm not just a dork.
Yeah.
I'm a dork that's married to this big hunk of man.
I did not plan for the show to like go this way, but okay.
Anyway, I'm just saying, I think there's an intimidation factor there.
Yeah.
Like, even if people just see pictures of you, they're just, they can see it. They're like, wow, look at that jaw.
Yeah.
That's a strong jaw.
Thank you. I know people think I have this goatee to like hide my chin or something. No, I don't have to hide my chin, motherfucker. There's nothing.
That's an enhancement, but you really don't need it.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so so I mean, I have other theories too, but like, I think that's a lot of what goes on, and why, like, yeah, it's annoying. Anyway, so what I want to get at, like, talk a little bit about our relationship dynamic here. Okay. So, and it's relevant to the LSD thing. Like, it really is.
Okay.
And I'll edit out stuff if you want me to, but whatever. I'm not ashamed of any of this.
No, me neither.
Yeah. So
I'm still on LSD now.
Yeah. so our relationship dynamic. Okay. I mean, we have, we have a master-slave dynamic.
I think you've tried to make that pretty apparent.
Yeah,
in the Miri Goldblossom character,
which we'll talk about. Yeah, which is also something that we had planned for months, had nothing to do with drugs. So
right.
I mean, we've been planning this for years.
We've been talking about it for years. That doesn't mean we've been planning it.
Yeah. It just got to a point where it's like, okay, no, now's the time.
Yeah, we turned the dreams into plans.
Yes.
I want to say pretty recently.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that, but because it's exciting to me, and I know it is to you. So we have a master-slave dynamic. This very, very powerful, dynamic. And I don't know how to say it's obvious. I'm the master, you're the slave. I mean,
for the most part.
Yeah. Well, the reality, anybody in, like, say, the BDSM space or whatever space uses this kind of, total power exchange, right? TPE, they call it. Like, any decent master knows that no, the slave is the one with the actual power.
It's true.
The master's nothing without the slave, and blah, blah, blah. Right. And that's so true. I mean, I absolutely worship you, you know, as a guy, as a goddess, as the Shekinah. I mean, you're amazing.
But I think that's the one thing that allows me to, you know, give my agency over to you in that sense.
Yes. Yeah. That's the thing. And there's a little bit more I wanted to describe, but just to quickly like let that in for people that don't really understand. You know, I mean, people might have, you know, in modern sensibilities have problems with those terms. I do not have problems with those terms. They don't have anything to do. It's the exact opposite of like treating you like property, like it really is, you know, but the idea is that, you know, the master, like when the master has a slave, someone who will like totally just gives themselves, you know, the slave feels confident in the master. That's why she gave herself to him. Okay. And this can, you know, genders can be fluid in all this too. Okay. And so you feel safe and I feel that I can finally unleash what's inside me that society says you can't, you know? And so it is something so much deeper and more powerful than any way you could describe any other relationship. It's more powerful than marriage. Like there's like, this is the deepest form of connection and love that I could possibly express to anyone. You know, because again, I can completely unleash and I know that you can take it and you get to feel safe knowing that I have no intention of ever harming you, you know, and you get to also unleash everything that's within you because, you know, like the master is creating this, shall we say, safe space.
Yeah, it's one of those experiences that I think is both primal
yes.
and at the same time enlightening.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the right term to use, but
I think it's a good one.
It feels very much, I think there's a lot psychologically going on that almost feels spiritual in a sense.
Yes.
Because you do have to completely trust one another.
Yes.
And allow for that exchange of agency.
Right.
And just know that like the other person has your best interest at heart.
Right.
I know without a doubt that you have, you know, my pleasure in mind.
Right.
And that's something that I've never been entirely certain of in relationships. So I just feel like that is so special.
Yeah. And you feel protected. Like
yes.
You feel safe.
I feel very safe and protected.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And those are things where I think in a lot of people who maybe engage in this kind of relationship, there's one more point I want to bring up, but a lot of people that engage in this type of relationship, why they fall apart or it doesn't seem to work, comes down to, I mean, and we've never had to like use a safe word or anything like that, you know, none of this stuff.
No.
Really.
No, because you just listen to my responses.
Exactly.
However they come out, and
exactly.
you can tell if I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Right, right. And that's it, is that it's often people who cannot guarantee, or as much as anyone can, guarantee the protection of the other. As well as, yeah, there's aspects of it. What do you got?
Yeah, so like when you hear that I'm uncomfortable, you stop what you're doing and you ask me if I'm okay or if there's something that needs to be changed.
Right.
I feel that, you know, there's some people who might take the master slave thing too literally and they just like keep going even though they hear the other person's uncomfortable.
Right.
And that might be why people need safe words. Because they're like, yeah, I'll tolerate a certain amount of like you doing something that I don't actually like that much. But then it gets to a breaking point, and that's when you use the safe word. But like we've never done that because you are so respectful and you are very attentive.
Yeah, well, I feel like we're that intertwined.
Yes.
And that also comes from, and this is something, and I want to be kind of gentle in saying this, but there's no way it doesn't come off not condemning, you know. You and I are very physically healthy people who are very much in touch with our bodies, and we can read a lot what's going on for our bodies, you know, and we know our limits.
And like you said, you know, your feelings are my feelings. My feelings are your feelings.
Yeah,
like
right.
we are very emotionally entwined
yes.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just, unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people are not there. They're not.
Yeah. I get it because I've been in plenty of relationships in the past. I know you've been in even more, so you can probably relate to this as well. But like, even for, you know, people that you love that you've been with for years, like sometimes there's things that just don't line up, you know? You don't match as a couple perfectly. And like, I'm not blaming anyone for that, you know? I just think that you and I have a very special bond where we do you know, perfectly align in so many ways.
Yeah.
And not every way, but like in all of the ways that are important, yes.
Yeah.
And that's so rare. And I really hope that everybody gets to experience that at some point in their life.
No, same, totally. Yeah. So the other part that I want to bring up is that I only have one rule for you, and that's it. Like, there's no, I mean, this is the thing. A lot of relationships have a ton of little rules, unfortunately, and a lot of them, they're unspoken rules. And, you know, unspoken rules are pretty much premeditated resentments. I mean,
yes,
like, it's a bad idea. Okay. You have to be, I mean, when we first started, you know, dating, like I said, look, I need emotional honesty. That's not the rule. I'm just saying that's what I want and I need, you know what I mean? But the rule is no man can touch you without my permission.
Right.
And that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
You can do.
It's so easy to remember.
Yes.
You know, I don't get confused. I don't get tripped up.
Nope.
I don't second guess myself when I'm talking to other men, you know.
Right.
All I have to know is that one thing. And you know what? That's easy. I can run with that.
Yeah. Well, see, now this is it. This is why, in my opinion, this is why our relationship works exceptionally well, is because there's not a bunch of crazy rules. There's not a bunch of, I mean, look, I'm a Jew. I've lived with 613 mitzvot my whole life, and it's a pain in the goddamned ass, and fuck them, you know, but that's not what I want in my life. And so there's one rule, plain as day, very simple, very easy to remember, you know, and I'm so glad that it works for you as well. Now, I'm not saying that that works for everybody, but that's what works for me. It clearly works for you, you know?
Yeah. And I would say that I have that rule for you, but I also have 999 others, and they're also subject to conditions. So.
Well.
And not all of them have been spoken yet.
I mean, you know, fortunately me, I'm just home all day talking to a cat. So like,
right.
You don't have anything to worry about.
No, I mean, like, I think if the situation was more challenging, I would definitely have to, like, you know, put the iron to the fire, so to speak, and like outline some of these things. But as it stands, like, I don't even have to tell you, like, hey, this is a rule, except for maybe the, like, no cell phones after 9:30 thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot. Okay, yeah. So to expand, like, yes, like I have said to you, look, you tell me what to eat. You tell me, like when it comes to like health me to give and you also, rules. Like, I want you to tell me how it is. And even when I say, like, no, I really want this, like, you don't have to give into that, you know? And like, so those are things where, like, yes, like there's aspects of our life that I've already absolutely openly said, like, this, look, you're in charge, you know, like I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah, and I believe you, because even when you don't like what I make, you still eat what I give you, and you don't eat when I tell you not to eat.
Yep.
So, I mean, I just know that I can trust you to listen, even when you don't like it.
Yeah. So I mean, here's you know, but this is the part, and thank you.
Except for that cheese that I found you were sneaking.
Yeah, I did have a piece. Oh, shit. It was Captain, I'm telling you. The cat did it. Anyway, no.
Cheese thief.
But this is but this is the crux of it. Okay, that, you know, that rule, that one rule, and it's the only one I put. It's the only one I put on you, is no man can touch you without my permission. That's it. That's not even saying that another man couldn't. That's not excluding other, you know, that doesn't even say anything about women, actually.
Need to have your permission.
Right. It's all it's saying, right? So there's openness in that. There's possibilities within that, right? It's not a no. It's just, okay, like, we need to talk about this and have a conversation or whatever,
Yeah, and you giving permission, I guess, is not like a given. You still have standards of some kind.
Yes. Well, okay, and so this speaks to that rule. Let's get back to the LSD. Okay. Mm-hmm. Part of, where this rule comes out of, it comes out of my personal experience. Yes. Okay. Not saying that like I've been cheated on a ton or something like that, whatever, that's not what it's about. But I'm just saying like I've been in plenty of experiences where like look, the worst thing in a cis het relationship, okay, the worst thing that a man can do is quench the fire of a woman. All right.
I agree.
Yes. And so I never want to do that. The thing is, I also know, and this also comes from a tradition, a lineage that we were talking about earlier. I also know that when a woman is in her fullness, the Shekinah is embodied. Okay? Just like you were talking.
In her fullness.
Yes. All right. When you are feeling, to use the term from someone else, when you're feeling that eros, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like sex models the erotic, but it doesn't exhaust the erotic. Okay. But when you're getting pretty close to exhausting the erotic, like when you're talking about when you're on LSD, when you were like really,
I was really into it.
Yeah. Like anything could have happened.
Bring it on.
Anything. Okay?
Bring it on.
So I know from this lineage, like, okay, what is the duty of the priesthood? You need to pull a little bit on the reins to make sure that she doesn't just lose herself. Okay. And it's not quenching your fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's just keeping you from doing something that is irreversible. And I don't even like using the word keeping.
Irreversible.
But it's because what it really is, it's about protection. Okay. And it's protecting. And
so you're saying I could get totally lost in sex?
Yeah.
I could be consumed by it.
Yeah. Because you would, and especially on the second time that we did it, there was a point while we were fucking in front of the fireplace, you were gone. Like I could feel it. I could hear it. Like words escaped you. You had become a Pentecostal. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, shake the tambourines. We're in church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You were gone. You were somewhere else. And it was beautiful. And it was amazing. And I love that. And that's something that I don't think you need entheogens to experience, but I'm glad that they helped it happen. And certainly they are a quicker road.
It was an ecstatic experience.
Yes, literally. Yeah. But that's the thing, is the protector is to keep you safe in those moments. Okay. And it's not to like hold you, it's not really to hold you back. Like, because I feel like it might've sounded like that. That's not what I'm saying, but it's just like, it's containing it a little bit. Okay.
You're making sure no harm comes to pass.
Yes, exactly. Right. So, that's ultimately really what that rule can come out of. Mm-hmm. And because I've seen that, because, if the universe operates on this, kind of erotic eros level, yeah, you have to respect that. And also,
you have to let it be.
Yeah. So anyway,
accept it as a reality, folks.
Right.
We are living in a sexual world.
Yes. Well, that's another reason, I don't want just a second on this. Like, that's another reason I wanted to be explicit with the show name, with XXX Tech, right? It's like, no, look, we're not respecting the erotic enough, and there isn't enough out there. And when I say erotic, I don't mean porn. All right? I mean so much more.
And how much it influences behavior of people.
Yes. Yeah.
That needs to be recognized. I agree.
Yeah,
which is why men just need to talk to you.
Thank you.
They just need to talk to you. I mean, I wish they would, so that you can just, set them straight.
Part of me wishes they would too. Like, I feel very alone in a lot of this,
yeah,
you know?
I know. I'm sorry. I really want you to have friends. I do.
Yeah.
Like people who are of a similar mind, maybe.
Yeah. And I mean, I have friends. I mean, like I have people that I love dearly. You
Of
know?
course,
but
yeah.
like in this exploration, in this act, and so much more, you know, it's yeah. I there are times where I feel very alone in this, and that goes back to that Luke Skywalker thing, but that's besides the point now. But yeah. So anyway, so
You lost it. That's okay.
no, it's fine. It's fine.
It's a tough discussion.
It is. But I'm actually kind of glad we talked about this, because I wish people would fucking understand, you know, like how this works, you know, and
But they'll never know if they don't ask. And I feel
Yeah.
like people are just so afraid to ask. Like I am very interested in knowing about my friends' relationships because they're my friends.
mm-hmm.
I like them. I mean, like I also feel like it's special when you meet people that are in love and have been together for a long time.
Yeah.
And what's that whole experience like? I mean, as friends, you should be concerned about your friends' well-being, and the relationship is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
well-
just part of the human experience. There's so many different ways to have relationships and
Oh yeah. Ours
healthy
isn't the only way.
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
and I think it's really interesting to learn from other people. Like, what do they do in their relationship? What's the
Right.
interchange like? You know,
Right.
what are the dynamics?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. And because the sad part is, like, part of that me saying I feel so alone is because I look around, everybody's so fucking unhappy.
There's a lot of unhappy people.
Even
Yeah.
people who are like walking around with wife and kids or whatever their dynamic is, or they're fucking unhappy as hell, you know? And it's like, holy shit, like, can I walk into somewhere, anywhere and see happy people?
Yeah.
See maybe see people holding hands and like barely able to keep their hands off of each other for once. I never see that ever.
You mean like we are?
Yeah, right. I mean, we got people telling us like, "Oh, I don't know. Brian's like kind of a lawyer. What's going on there?" No, I'm doing it right, motherfucker. Like, this is what the hell's wrong with you that you're not all over your woman? You know, like, god damn it.
Everybody deserves that level of happiness
Yes,
and interest in another person.
yes. And I just blows my mind. But I don't think LSD is necessarily the answer for that. So,
Why?
maybe entheogens are. You know,
Tell me why you said you would not recommend LSD.
yeah. I know we need to wrap up. I know it's getting kind of late. So I want to talk about this for 1 second and then get into the rest. Like, I was really first off, I was expecting with psilocybin to have like kind of an emotional breakdown. The reason I say that is that's supposedly what so many people go through. You know?
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, I have heard stories like that too. But
Yeah.
not all of them have sounded that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just a handful of people I know of. But I guess those are the ones that stand out, are the negative
Yeah.
ones.
And look, I mean, again, like, there's nothing wrong with that, you know, like that I'm great that people are getting to explore themselves or, you know, whatever else, or
Yeah.
or bring things to light. You know, I think that's wonderful.
I mean, for every one story you hear about people having a breakdown, there's probably 50 that you don't hear about, where
Yeah.
it's just a good experience.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's it. But like with LSD, I was also expecting, like, okay, no, I'm going to have an emotional break. Now, here's the thing. I haven't had that, like, really at all.
Yeah.
Okay. And like a part of me was actually worried that I was like, am I a sociopath or something? Like, is there something wrong with me that I'm not having these like that I'm not having a million traumas come up for me, and I'm not like,
It's not a requirement.
Oh, I know it's not a requirement.
I don't think it's part of the natural course of these drugs.
But my understanding, and I'm not speaking negatively like about anybody going through that. I'm just saying that like my understanding in general is that that is what people go through, especially at first. Now, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in my 40s.
You've processed a lot.
Well, I have. That's true. But
like we've talked about, I think a lot of that has to do with set and setting and where a person is mentally.
yeah.
Like, all of that comes into the experience of the trip and informs it. So if you're already currently in a headspace where you're exploring a lot of traumas, of course you're going to think about that. Or if you're repressing something, like, very actively, and then suddenly your barriers come down, that's all going to start spilling out. But, like, I don't think you fit into either of those categories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that is like a given when you start taking these drugs. I think maybe for MDMA, I might make that claim that if there is something that's simmering just beneath the surface, it's going to come up for you at some point.
Well, and I will say here, like, if that opportunity presents itself under safe conditions, I will try that as well.
Yeah,
With
highly
MDMA.
recommended.
Yeah.
Even though that one is one that's like pretty synthetic.
Yeah, but again, just like this, you know, like I need to do it only with you at home the first time.
Of
After
course.
the first time, like, okay, rodeo done. I can ride the bull anytime. But yeah, so okay, so like to other, and thank you for those points. But like, so to other negative aspects of this, like why I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I didn't see, I mean, the sex was great. Yes. Okay. That might not be the same goal that other people have. I understand that I may be in rare air as far as that goes.
I think so.
Yeah. So with that said, especially if that's not part of your goal, I didn't see any great advantage of LSD over psilocybin. You know, like, and in fact, I only saw kind of disadvantages to it. And
what do you mean?
So I think you can get a very similar experience with psilocybin that you do with LSD. I know it's different. I totally understand the differences, but like, again, I do these things to walk away from it as a positive experience, you know, and also to kind of come away maybe like a wiser person even, you know, and to have had fun. And
we certainly had fun.
Yeah. And I did come away wiser as well, even from the LSD. I had some pretty like powerful thoughts actually, just staring at the fireplace. And oh God, you know, and like listening to music on LSD. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I listened to Emperor Palpatine's theme. That was really intense. And then I put on Whitney Houston's Queen of the Night, and that was awesome. Anyway,
it must have been.
Talk about a tape that got eaten. Go ahead.
Yeah, we listened to like happy hardcore trance party music for a few hours too, and that was amazing.
Yeah,
really added to the experience.
Yeah, I definitely got to appreciate that music more. Not that I didn't already, but like I got it.
You got it.
Yeah. Like I got it now. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay.
When you listen to it on drugs, it's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, then it's something else.
This fits the ecstatic experience of the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay. So the negatives though, coming down, especially from the 2 tabs, was really hard.
Well, that was a lot. Yeah.
Like I was shaking really hard, like uncontrollably. We
only
watched
for like 15-20 minutes maybe.
Yeah. I had a very hard perception of time, so I couldn't say how long it actually was. But so we started watching, and this was your recommendation, and I totally get why. And at some point we really will go the whole distance on this. We started watching Monty Python's Meaning of Life, which is a movie, part of it, designed to be watched while you're on entheogens.
I believe that firmly.
No, I agree with you. Yeah. Because like I've seen this before and it never hit me like it did then.
Yeah, you see things when you're on LSD.
Yeah.
Like tricks of the camera,
Yes.
little hidden images.
Yes.
They purposely put it there, but you literally, like, your eyes cannot see it unless you are on LSD.
Right. Yeah. So, so there's that.
And it's a very silly story. Like, I think they were all on LSD when they, like, wrote and directed some of this.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is silly, but then, especially that opening, there's a deep message. Like, there's a deep pain.
Of course.
Being expressed in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't take it. Like, I'll admit that. I couldn't handle it. I'm like, this, like, it wasn't scary. It was just like, I know what they're saying, and the message is really deep, and I am not in a mental space to handle that right now. You know, like, they were ripping on society and civilization and economy so fucking hard in that. And it's beautiful, but, like, I couldn't do it. I'm like, no, oh, this is too much. You know? It's
really silly once you realize that they're just saying, like, in the argument of the old ways versus the new ways, which will win? And like, in their story, the old ways overcame.
Yeah.
and persisted.
Right.
But yeah, there is like a whole act going on. Like, yeah, it's violent in some ways.
It's just a lot. It was a lot. And I basically said, it's like, no, I need something safe. Put on Star Trek the Motion Picture. Like, I got to stop. I can't do this.
And even that was designed with LSD in mind.
Oh, it had to be.
I think.
Some
certain scenes.
Yes.
For sure.
Saw things, heard things. I mean, I saw that movie and understand this is the movie I've seen the most, more than any other movie.
This is home to you.
This is home.
This is your safe space.
Yes. And I saw it in a completely new way, and it was 10 times more beautiful than it had ever been. It was really something to experience it this way. And how did you feel about that movie?
Yeah, I mean, I think the movie has always been interesting, but on LSD, the visuals were so much better. I mean, I think that'd be true for, like, almost any movie, but, like, I genuinely enjoyed it. I also think the whole idea of V'ger is, like, a very trippy notion.
Yes.
And it's a giant 3D fractal.
Yeah.
I mean, they used fractal image generation, which was a new technology at the time, to make this movie, to make V'ger and the clouds around V'ger. But, like, there's some scenes where it was overly gratuitous, and it just looked awesome. Like, I think even the scene when they're going through the wormhole, like, was kind of designed with LSD in mind.
Yes.
And I think you pointed out that scene and said, like, you'd never really appreciated it until then.
Yeah, I always hated the scene until now. Like, now I get it. That's a visual feast. Like,
yeah.
It's really something else when you're tripping. And I think designed for that. So, yeah. Such an amazing movie. But after that, like, and this, you know, I was worried, like, holy shit, I'm going to vomit. And that's the thing, coming down, like, you feel very queasy and you can't eat. And here's the thing, like, and I completely trust you on this. Like, we eat breakfast and then that's it. Like, we fast the rest of the day if we know we're going to do, you know, LSD later in the day and do it around 2, 3, 4 o'clock, whatever. And so I also don't enjoy not eating. You know what I mean? But boy, no way could I, because I know I'd vomit the fuck. Like
I think we could probably do juices.
Yeah.
Or sugary things that are easy to digest. But like I also felt the same way you did. And like as we were coming down, you know, we ate something that was very easy to digest, very sugary.
Yeah.
But then I tried eating a chip, which...
Yeah, tortilla chip.
Yeah, which has a little bit more to digest. And I regretted that decision because I did, like, feel nauseous and was vomiting for like, an hour. But that is something that I think, like, while nausea is part of the process because your body is reacting as if you've been poisoned... and that's just part of the sympathetic nervous system reaction is just to purge everything. Even if it's water, you know. So it's not like... Anyway, eating the chip, it was not a good decision.
Yeah.
I might have thrown up anyway. Like, the second time I still did throw up, but it was just once.
Right. Even though we didn't eat anything.
Yeah, not since breakfast anyway.
Yeah.
And somehow I threw up breakfast, which was like from 8 hours earlier.
Yeah.
Or 10 hours earlier.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. It was a lot of time. Shouldn't have still been there, but it was. Yeah, it might just be part of the experience depending on like your body type and how your body's processing that quote unquote poison.
Yeah, even though I didn't throw up, like it was not a good feeling. Like it didn't feel good at all.
But it passed, right?
It did eventually pass. I mean, because like we just ended up fucking again. But like, but that's
amazingly.
Yeah.
You would think it was all like, we were out of energy and like, I was nauseous and feeling like crap and we were shaking. But like all of that passed relatively quickly. And in terms of like the overall trip.
Yeah, relatively, yes.
We still had a little bit left in us at the end.
Yeah. So, but that's the thing is, like psilocybin, you don't have that come down like that, and you can eat afterwards. Hell, you can even eat during, really. I mean, it might not feel as great, but.
Yeah, I mean, there were times where we did psilocybin where I didn't want to eat during the experience, but usually we would like eat lunch and then eat the mushrooms along with our lunch.
Right.
And it was fine.
Right. But then afterwards, like, oh yeah, let's have some more food, depending upon how late at night it was.
I feel like, with mushrooms, there's still a bit of a hangover, though. Like, there's still kind of the headache the next day. At least for me.
There can be that. Yeah. So, but that's my point, is that I don't feel like LSD does that much more for you, or that much different, I should say, that much different for you from psilocybin to be worth the come down.
Hold on, though.
Okay.
You admitted we haven't tried having sex on mushrooms. And I don't know that it would be that great.
Well, we did try, and it was nothing like doing it on LSD.
Oh, we tried.
Yeah.
But it didn't it was an amazing experience.
Yes, but we didn't try, admittedly, and we'll get to this at some point, I know, but we didn't try having sex like at the height of a psilocybin experience. Okay, we had it more when it was like tapering off and things are just kind of feeling rubbery and I don't know. Mm-hmm. But, I'd be willing to try that. Okay, but we haven't done that yet, no.
But like the desire wasn't there. And that's kind of my point is that I think with mushrooms, the experience is very different in the sense that like, sex isn't a focus. Mm-hmm. But I guess... Yeah, we haven't tried it, so we don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right.
I just feel like when we're on mushrooms, the focus is more on, like, exploring the universe.
Yes, which I love.
And LSD is more like exploring each other.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but that's the thing, is that unless your goal is to have, like, that amazing sex, and hey, your mileage may vary, okay? Whoever's listening. But... unless you're going for that sex, I don't see the advantage to me yet. I don't see the advantage to LSD.
Wait until the summertime. I think you'll have a very different experience if we were like outside in the summertime.
I am willing to try that at least one more time to be able to see that, because we're in the middle of winter right now and I'm sure the snow might look amazing or whatever, but usually we're doing it at night. It's just a matter that the sun's down. Like, it's not even about the weather, the sun's gone.
And setting make a lot of difference. Yeah. And so far, the 2 times we've done it, we've just been in the living room or, in the bedroom or up here in the studio. Yeah. Like, we haven't gone outside at all.
Yeah. Okay. We will try that and we'll report back on that when that happens. So, but it's probably going to be a few months because it's January.
It's really freaking cold right now and there's a lot of snow outside.
Exactly. So, yes. Okay. Now, I know it's very late. Do we have more we want to get out there? I mean, I know we want to talk about something very quickly. Different subject,
I think we should just talk about LSD more next time if we have another experience or, mushrooms or whatever it is. We've spent a lot of time talking about it, and I'm ready for the next subject if we have another one.
Yeah, we'll be quick. So we, and those who follow me on Instagram already know the score. But but we started an OnlyFans. And
woohoo!
Woo! And again, this is something we've been talking about doing for a very long time. And we just finally said, okay, yeah, let's do it.
It was a joke at first, I think.
Yeah.
But then eventually I was like, why not?
Yeah, right.
Like, let's actually fucking do it.
Yeah.
And you were supportive.
Oh, 100%. And this is the thing is, so if people want to go to it, you can go to Miri, as in MIRI, okay, miri.xxtech.net, and that'll take you right to it. Okay. Or it's like onlyfans.com/Sovryn. And that'll get you there as well.
And the Miri is a callback to a character that you created.
Yes. So this is the thing with my new foray into video. Okay. That's going all over the place. So I wanted to get to the point where like where I'm bringing the Sovryn universe into more flesh and blood, you know, and that's what we're doing here. Like, yes, it's starting off slow and kind of kitschy
well, we've only done two posts.
Yeah, only 2 photo sets so far. We haven't done video yet. I mean, and look, I know how all of this works. Okay. like, yes, we want to make money off of doing this, of course.
We're building up a back catalog of material that like you haven't released yet.
Exactly.
So for every photo shoot, there's like a bunch of photos and videos that you're keeping to yourself in your private collection.
Yeah.
Until a later date. When the world is ready for it.
Right. I mean, you start off slow. Like, look, I worked in the porn industry. I know how this works. So anyway.
Like, not that that's exactly all we're doing.
No.
But
no,
certainly a
it's
part of it.
Yeah. But, you know, I want to bring it more to life, and it's going to take shape in a lot of different ways. And, you know, this is something you at the beginning of the episode, you expressed how, like, you know, you used to look in, like, modeling was something you considered, right?
Oh yeah. I definitely did try to be a model at one point in my life.
Right. I mean, and you are absolutely look like a supermodel. So
thank you. The agency did not agree, but I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, forget them. So
they told me I was too short by 1 inch.
That's preposterous. Okay. So, like, that's the one reason you didn't become, and I know it's true, but like, what the fuck? You know, that is so stupid. So
I feel like I could have done it.
I know you could have.
I don't know. Maybe it was just an exposure thing, but like, I could have done it.
Right. I know you could.
Like,
yeah. So
I don't know. I feel like so many people have told me that before, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But I mean,
I went to college instead.
Exactly. I think one of the important things I want to bring up is like, this was very much your idea, or like you germinated it, you started it. And, you know, I'm like, yeah. You know, like, I think this is amazing. You know, I'm just saying, like, I'm not pressuring you. I'm not whoring on my wife. I'm not like that's not what this is, right? Well,
maybe a little. I won't agree wholeheartedly.
But I love this. I love this because
you're only a part-time pimp.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's something that, again, you start slow, you build up, you get that catalog going, and it's what we're doing. And, you know, like, it is very much a part of some of what we were talking about earlier. Like, look, the world is suffering from, honestly, from a lack of positivity.
A lack of
the
love.
Erotic. Sorry?
Sorry, I thought you were going to say a lack of positivity and just stop there.
Oh, well.
And I said a lack of love.
A lack of love. Yeah, no, that's ultimately what it is, right? And so, yeah, there's just this lack. And I've always, even doing my podcast, has always been about, like, no, I'm going to fucking put love and sex in your goddamn face. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be, in fact, I remember once a guy introduced me, and like, he's like, yeah, it's Dr. Brian Sovryn. And I don't even think he knew what the doctor meant, you know, but he just said, he's our doctor of love. That's what, that's how he described me. And that was very sweet. It was very nice. But there's just not enough of it out there. And this is something where, like, okay, I get to have fun, you know, kind of doing like Sovryn Universe stuff. I have an uncensored platform where other content that we do can be shared. And it doesn't just mean like nudie pictures or whatever the hell else. It could be all kinds of things. This podcast is going to be on there.
And it's a bonding experience for us too. I mean, like we do genuinely have sex while we're doing this. So
and I don't care if people see.
It's something that we are doing already, but we have a fucking amazing relationship that I think most people would, kill for. So of course we want to share that with people because like there's a shortage of it.
Yeah. So we get our chance to model the erotic and I love it, and it's something like I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to be able to like, really express this, and I'm so fortunate to be with someone like, where that's your aim, your goal as well. And it's fun. It's just damn fun.
It is fun.
I think that's the part that a lot of people don't get. It's like, no, like this is a kick for people. This is a good time for people, when they have that mindset. And that's exciting. And so like, by all means, like I'll say it forthright right here. I mean, we've already gotten comments on posts that we've made where like people are, holy shit, my cock is so hard. I'm jerking off, to your fuck doll or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Which were my words as far as calling you that, but
but they're telling you, they're like, wow, this is really doing it for me.
Yeah. And I'm just like, other people are jerking off to my wife.
That's so nice.
Thank you. Like, what greater round of applause can you get for your choice and partner than someone else like coming over the thought of them? I mean, really, like,
you're right.
Thank you.
When you're right, you're right.
Yeah. Thank you. I feel so good inside knowing that. So anyway, we're bringing more pleasure into the world, and and if that was ever a goal, that is the goal of goals, for anything I do. Like let's bring joy and pleasure, So.
And there was a point while we were like having sex on LSD in front of the fireplace where we were listening to music, and suddenly there was a line that said "Priestess of the Flesh," and that's just so appropriate. It was such a perfect moment. It was like, yes, actually, that's exactly what's going on here.
Yes, that is so you. Yes. Yes.
Worship the flesh.
Yes. I could go on a whole diatribe about that right now, but I'm not going to. I know we got to wrap it up.
We should save it for next episode.
We'll save it for the next one. That's right.
Which means you have to have me back on.
Gladly. And now it's so easy because of this wonderful studio. So anyway, Miri.XXXtech.net. And yes, the Miri, I don't think we said it explicitly earlier, but Miri is your character, Miriam Goldblossom. That's Dr. Miriam Goldblossom. And we're playing that up. Again, we're bringing the Sovryn universe to life with this. So, which
is so exciting because Miriam Goldblossom has been a character since what, like 2017, 2016 maybe?
2016,
yeah. Now she is physically embodied.
Yeah. Perfect.
It's so exciting. I can't wait to do more.
Wonderful. Yes, there's so much. And we're building up the cadence and everything. So anyway, folks, just go there. You can kind of follow for free, and then there's and you do get posts on there that are only on there. And then there's paid posts and whatever. So anyway, Miri.XXXtech.net, or if you just go to XXXtech.net, that'll take you to a page that has a link to the page. You'll know which one, believe me.
Go to this one with big red arrows around it.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Thank you for being on. It was a wonderful time.
Thank you for having me. This has been great. I'm so excited to release this and listen back to it.
Yeah, I'll get this episode
and
out
also to be back on again soon.
Yes.
So we can do our follow-up
conversation. Fuck yes. And folks, if you have questions, please, on Spotify or YouTube, just get them in the comments. Okay. And
we love it.
Yeah. If we have like a Q&A, like you better believe I'll have Ellen on and we'll go over all of it.
We'll react live.
Yes.
We'll do it live.
Exactly. So, okay. Well, for For Brian and Ellen at XXX Tech, we will see all of you, on the other side. Nice.